All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. 365, we making up plays. You talking the game, get you to the days. Great eye in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety topics never the same. All presentation, sports information. In the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays, like working your faces. Grace at the field, so tie the laces. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. Network. We on top of our game. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays.
Welcome to the college, ASAP College Breakdown Report. I'm Ray. Ray, how you doing?
Better than good, my man. I can barely hear you.
You can barely hear me?
Yeah.
Let me see if I can get this thing. I don't know what's going on with this here. Let me check my audio.
I got you now. I can hear you a little better now.
Can you? All right, let me get a little closer to the mic here. Bring this down a little bit. There we go. Now, can you hear me?
There we go.
There we go. Now we got all the technical issues out of the way here. So how's everything going, man? How's your life after that Kentucky beatdown last week?
You know, I got over it. You know, it took me 2 times watching the game to come to a complete understanding of the offensive play calling and debacle in the red zone in the second half, and especially the fourth quarter.
Yeah, to me, do you think that it's time to put Richardson in over Emory Jones?
I said that in week 2. So, yes, I've been calling for a change for a long time, and I hate that it's taken this long. Look, I understand what Emory has been through. I understand, his mom's influence on the coach and stuff. I get all of that. But if it's not working, how much longer are you willing to say, okay, maybe it's the wrong play. Maybe it's the weather. Maybe it's the different scenario. Maybe it's this that went on this week. No. Switch up the quarterback.
I mean, if you look at the Florida games so far this year, they played Alabama very well. And then now they take that sacrifice out, and now they go up to Kentucky. They haven't lost to Kentucky in Kentucky since 1986. Now they broke that streak. It looked like Dan Mullen's breaking every streak that Kentucky, that Florida had over Kentucky.
He misses the most important streak called a winning streak. That's what we need. But again, I think it needs to be a little shaken up, not to cause a controversy. Just go what you know. Go what's been working in practice. Go off the vibe of the kids on the offense, the defense, the special teams. Even your own coaches, they can already tell there's a fluctuation in the whole attitude, the bravado, so to speak, when those guys come on the field and he's at the helm versus when Emory's at the helm. It just seems like the offense is slowing down too much for me.
Yeah, I put you on the big screen on that one so all your fans get the adjust up here. So let's take care of some football news that we have here. So we go around. We have picked the games last week and last 2 weeks. We have picked over 119 games. And last week's showing that is your record from last week, 33-24. Mine was 35-22. Now overall, Dre has hold the lead, 76 wins and 43 losses to my 74 wins and 45 losses after 119 games. So good job, Dre. Dre's winning right now. I'm catching up, but Dre had a little awful week last week because he picked his.
You kidding me, buddy? You're telling me. My bookie is smiling.
Yeah, if you took that North Carolina and Duke game 72 points over, hey, you lost.
I did the most idiotic thing last week. I did the under in every game. I didn't do the point spread. I took the under. And 6 games, I believe it was.
Yeah,
Yeah,
if you took the under in North Carolina game, you're fine. But if you took the over, hey, you're screwed.
I didn't bet on that game. The 6 games I lost on were just atrocious,
All
atrocious.
right, Thursday night game we had a blowout. Number 15, Coastal Carolina won 52 to against Arkansas State 20. Friday night game wasn't even close. Number 5 they tore up Temple, and then number 22 Arizona State tore up Stanford, and then Charlotte killed 12-point victory over Florida International. So that was all the recap for that game. We're not going to really spend time on them games and stuff like that
I
because there was
missed
some
that.
blowout.
I missed the score of the Arizona State game. Who won that?
Arizona State did,
Herm was doing something.
yeah.
He's
And
doing something.
then if you look down below, we have the AP rankings. I put a little teaser out on the description of the show today. Which college team has dropped out of the top 25 for the AP top 25 for the first time in a long time? That is Clemson. Clemson is no longer ranked in the AP top 25. They're ranked in the coaches poll at number 20, at number 23, 24. So, but they're not ranked in the AP top 25 for the first time in a long time on the Devils. What are your thoughts about Clemson so far this year? Are they ferocious or are they just trying to reload?
I think this is a wake up call for them. We're not as good as we thought we were. Everybody is gone. This is you guys' journey now. This is your path, your story. Let's go. This is good for college football teams that are used to winning, used to being in front of the TV, and everybody's a topic of conversation, getting the best recruits and things of that nature. Coach always smiling. But now we got to look in the mirror. We basically got slapped in the mouth. So let's go out here and play Clemson style football. This is needed for Clemson. They need this.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one. We're just gonna let that run for a little while. The top 25. You see, Kentucky dropped in there at number 16 after beating Florida. Florida drops all the way down to number 20
Mm.
in the latest polls. Herm Edwards jumps in at number 22.
Wow.
Arizona State, they jumped all over North Carolina State. They weren't ranked in the beginning, and now Herm Edwards has took over a couple games, beating Stanford. Stanford beat Oregon on a. I don't think that was a pass interference call in that end zone, but they gave it to him anyway, and Stanford ended up winning that game. So Herm Edwards came out and did something Oregon couldn't do, and they beat Stanford, and then they turned around. They beat UCLA the week before. So what is Herm Edwards doing to get Arizona State to play good ball right now?
He's listening. That's the one thing that coaches that excel well that nobody's paying attention. They're listening to the kids. The rest of the coaches, they just always hear them talking. They always talking and yelling and pointing, drawing on the board. But Herm Edwards, he listens to the players. It's a two-sided conversation with that guy, man, and that's key. It took a whole year in COVID for them to get it and buy in. I think COVID really helped that program, believe it or not, because now they all locked in on what Herm has been through and what he's trying to let them realize when it comes to playing football. Men.
Right. So the first game, we're going to get it right into our breakdown college games because sometimes it's 3 hours go by quick. We have so fun in these things here. So we're going to start our pick 'em and our college breakdowns at the same time. We're going to start with the Northern Illinois versus Toledo game. This game is played today at 12 o'clock Eastern time. The venue is at the Glass Bowl in Toledo, Ohio. CBS Sports Network is carrying the game. Northern Illinois comes in at 3-2. Toledo also comes in at 3-2. This game could also be watched on ESPN Plus. So, what is your take on this Northern Illinois versus Toledo game?
It's going to be a very high-scoring game. Very high-scoring game. Both schools have somehow got players in the NFL. So they're doing something right through both of those institutions. But I got a feeling it's going to be a high-scoring game. But I like Northern Illinois. I like what they've been doing so far this year.
So that's where you're going with Northern Illinois. All right. Deep by Northern Illinois. Yeah, I agree with you. This could be a high-scoring game. Northern Illinois has put up 292 yards against Maine, 242 yards against Eastern Michigan, winning both games. Their offense has been finishing off deep drives with points. It's controlling the clock. The offensive front is fantastic. The pass protection. What does Toledo have to do to win this game? Toledo needs to run well to win, and it didn't do against Notre Dame and Colorado State. The offensive line has taken over the game right away, and the running game has held as getting over 200 yards per game right now. They're 3-0 when it does, and it has a barrel through at Northern Illinois' defense that allows over 200 yards twice and 191 to Wyoming. On the other side, Toledo's defense is the best in the MAC, and it's getting into the backfield, which is pretty wide. It's leads the league, allowing fewer than 300 yards per game. So,
torpedoes?
No, they're the Rockets.
The Rockets.
Yeah. So, which contrast are we going to see here? Are we going to see Illinois' balanced attack? Or are we going to see this running machine of the Rockets just blast into their opponents? And their defense is now choking up on getting the rushes in there. How does Northern Illinois hold back their rush and get their offensive going? And how does Toledo get their running game going?
Pretty much whatever the defense gives you, go ahead and feed it to them. But if it becomes like a stagnant type of game, you're going to see a lot of confusion, trick plays. Oh, my God, I can't believe they did that type of scenario. But as you said, with the running game and with the defense being top in the max, it could be a chess match in the first half. And then the second half, both teams going into their bag of tricks, trying to impress each other's defense. But again, I got Northern Illinois winning this one, but a high-scoring game, though. I'm talking high-scoring. Maybe 50s to the 40s type thing.
Well, the over and under right now is 52 points. Toledo is favored by 13. They're predicting Vegas predicting the final score to be 27-23. So that's that. But I have seen some prop bets going on with this game here, and that's why I brought this game up.
Right.
When I was doing my research late on this week, trying to get my notes prepared for this game, one thing came up in Vegas is a prop bet. A prop bet, how many trick plays is going to be played in this ball game?
But they got the over-under at 3?
No, they have the over and under at 5.
I just know it's going to be a lot of them, though. It's going to be when you see these two teams, this is one of that head scratcher. This is the one you're looking over your shoulder. If you're a Flintstone fan, you're probably looking for Gazoo right now to help you out with a pick like this.
Yeah, I agree with you. If Toledo can get that running game going, and if you do get over 200 yards rushing against Northern Illinois, which Northern Illinois has given up 191 yards to Wyoming, but but if Northern Illinois' offense can hold back Toledo's pass rushing, I think Northern Illinois has a favorite in this game, and I'm gonna stick with Northern Illinois because right now they've been doing me good. So.
Right, and then if they do get to the quarterback, that's going to open up the running game. You can't do both well.
Right.
You're not going to be able to do both well, but you can put that confusion into the quarterback and make him think on his feet, make an inappropriate throw, call off on a checkoff, or call an audible it's ill-advised in that defensive scheme. But you want a quarterback to make a mistake in this matchup like this, but still expose the running game as well.
Well, we're going to switch it up a little bit. We're going to go to, most college football programs you see now don't have Alabama in the first hour, don't have them in the second hour, they have them in the third hour. But today's show, we're having them in our first hour. This is the game we're going next is Alabama versus Texas A&M. And how does Jimbo Fisher get Texas A&M back on the winning ways after that debacle against Mississippi State?
I hope in his weekly radio show that he does and all his meetings he does in town that he went on ahead and apologized to everybody. I'm not going to be able to get the job done today, guys. I'm not going to be able to get the job. I'm not going to fulfill your wish. We should have won last week. We're going to lose again. But I guarantee you after that, we're going to be fine, and we got to prepare for next year. That's what he probably told everybody that's in the listening area of his radio show. There's no way in the hell they can win this game. It's going to be a whole lot of ifs. Whole lot of ifs if he beats Bama.
All right, this game is coming on 8 o'clock. This is a CBS network primetime game. They have a few primetime games of the year going into the night games. So this is one of them. Alabama comes in at 5-0. Texas A&M comes in 3-2. Do, do you see any flaws in Alabama right now?
No, unless they go out here and just say, let's say the kids all get mad at coach. And they've been known to do that in the past, and he went in halftime and chewed them a new asshole for that. But let's say they do that today, trying to get somebody else's name mentioned, or try to get somebody else some recognition on the Alabama squad, whether it's offensive defense, trying to do something out of the ordinary that's out of their character. That could cause a close game, a 14-7 at halftime, or 14-3 at halftime. That's that's not Alabama esque football if that happens. Then the second half, they're going to score 63 points. Everybody's going to say, like, what happened? What just happened? Coach went in there and got in their ass. I don't see them coming out playing sloppy at all going against Texas A&M, especially against Jimbo.
Are you surprised of the freshman quarterback Alabama's got is actually doing pretty good so far this year?
I look at Alabama as a team and as a whole, and the quarterback has never been the key focal point of that squad. Never. I understand what Tua has done. I understand what Mac did and all that. I understand what all the kids have done that have come to Alabama. But they've never been quarterback you. It's the defense, it's the receivers, it's the running game, it's the offensive line. It's watching 300 plus men, 300-pound plus men run a 40 in times that we cannot figure out how they're doing this, how they're that fast. That's Alabama to me. The quarterback has never been a situation with me there.
Yeah, and some of the key notes here for Alabama is after that scare of Florida, Alabama has kicked into the rushing game. That rush carried 50 times over 210 yards and four scores. You think Nick Saban got into the running game, but after that Florida game?
I think now he's emphasized the running game at pivotal points. No matter who the matchup has been since Florida, they've looked at the running game a little different. Whether we're going to run between the tackles or outside the tackle, the RPOs, they're going to come with different situations and packages like that with the type of quarterback that they have that has a couple of things, a couple of trick bags in his repertoire as well.
Yeah,
He has tricks in his sleeve too, up his sleeve.
if you look at the emergency of the running back of Brian Robinson for him, he's been coming here, the veteran. Do you see him continuing his running ways against Texas A&M?
See, that's the thing. I think Nick Saban is going to play like the Jedi mind trick. This is actually coach versus coach. I understand the players are on the field, but the way the players are going to be called is going to be a chess match. So of course he's going to go out the Texas A&M run defense. Of course he's going to do that. That's going to be a big thing in the first quarter, I do believe.
Yeah, I look at it. I look at two different things here. I look at the running back situation, and I look at Bryce Young. Bryce Young's starting to hit the deep passes. That's what's killing most teams right now. And in Ole Miss game, he was hitting a bunch of deep passes, and the running game just took over that game. But Kiffin came up with the popcorn, get your popcorn ready, and all the CBS and everybody had that popcorn ready already. But no, the game wasn't really a popcorn show. So, do you see this? So you seeing this is going to be a blowout, more of Texas A&M not scoring, or are you going to see this kind of a 63-7 game?
This is pretty much going to be like when Georgia played Clemson type of thing. We want to see that back and forth movement.
Right.
We want to see that. But in this matchup, we're not going to get it. We're going to see Alabama in the end zone quite often. I think more on the defensive side than the offensive side. I can see the defense outscoring the offense today in this game. But I don't think A&M has enough artillery for this battle today. I don't think they're ready for that action yet, boss. No. It looks good on paper, this matchup. Both of the coaches' resumes, the history of the schools, the pageantry of the game. I get all of that. But when the game comes time to be played, that's where reality sets in that, and Alabama's going to do what Alabama's known to do. But if A&M doesn't fall into the spell, don't look into the eyes, don't believe the hype, get into the Disney spirit, believe in yourself, let's prove who we are, If they get caught up in that, this could be a close game, and a magical Johnny Manziel may appear in the stands and help them out. Isn't that the last time A&M beat Alabama when Manziel was a quarterback?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So
And then,
maybe something like that.
and if you look at this way too, A&M's defense is not the problem. It's their offense is the problem. Can A&M defense offense? Let me put it in rephrases. Can A&M offense stay on the field more and keep the defense rested? If the defense has to stay on the field, Alabama's going to wear them down. But the key issue here is we talked about Robinson, the emergence of him. He's banged up, and their top back running back, Jace McCullough for Alabama, he's out for the year. So if Robinson gets banged up more in this game, is that going to help A&M out because they can put it in Young's hand and make him have to make plays?
Here's an interesting thing. I think was it last week or week 2. They did an in-depth look at Alabama's backups, offense, defense, and special team substitutions. They're just as good. They're just as good. It's the little miscues that people are getting the starting spot at Alabama, not listening, falling asleep, not looking at coach, giving him eye contact. He's really peculiar on how you get up under his skin in the Alabama football program. So the backup option is just as good as the starter with Alabama. They're that damn good. I don't see any flaws slipping with a backup, a starter being out, a freshman getting in there. I see no flaws because the speed and the way they practice prepares them for things that happen in the game. We say, wow, how did they know that was going to happen? They prepared for it in practice.
Now we talking about the Aggies offense here, and I found some interesting stats about this. In 2018, Aggies were able to keep the ball for 34 minutes and 27 seconds in time possession. 2019, they finished left keeping the ball at 33.06 a game. Last year, number 3, holding it for almost 35 minutes a game. Does it if Texas A&M can possess the ball more than Alabama, would that cause a panic for Alabama, or would that just not, or the time possession is not going to happen? Because if you look at this, they held the ball for 30 minutes and 22 seconds a game, but they still lost to Mississippi State by possessing the ball more. So if Alabama gets the quick hitters, the time possession won't even happen, won't even worry about it, Texas A&M, because they're scoring off these quick hitters. That's
exactly
the problem.
What I was about to say. I mean, I don't care how long you hold the ball. If you're not putting points on the board, who cares? Because when the other team gets the ball, they're scoring no matter what. No matter what, they're going to score. So you can hold the ball with me all you want. But if you're not putting points on the board, eventually I'm going to get the ball back and score. And as you said, Alabama can put up some quick hitters. There was a team that tried that against them 2 years ago. We're going to keep the ball. I think Alabama had the ball for 11 minutes and 42 seconds.
Yeah.
They scored 42 points.
Yep. I mean, the key of everybody thinks you got to possess the ball more than the other team is kind of upbeat, because if your defense can hold the other team to drive it longer, and you don't bend and don't break, you bend a little bit, don't break, and hold them to field goals, then the time possession comes into factor. But if you get teams that can quick hit you like Alabama can, they can put up 42 points in a hurry, and your time possession is not really going to go out the window, because now you're going to have to force the pass to catch up. So for the Aggies have to score every time down, and they can't be putting up field goals inside the 20-yard line. They have to score touchdowns against Alabama.
But you can't look at it that way, because if you're building confidence in a kicking game, it's a kick outside of 32 yards, between 33 yards and 52 yards. If he's making that, that's good. But again, as long as you're putting up points every time you get the ball, you're pissing off Nick Saban and you're frustrating him, and he's yelling at the offensive players. They're going to get frustrated. Why coach keep yelling at us? That's when that crucial turnover happens. That's when you get out of character, because you're thinking you're doing something wrong. That's that Jedi mind trick that Nick Saban does to the players, man.
Now we're looking at here. We're getting to pick this game here, and the line, the over and under is 51. Alabama's favored by 17 and a half. They are predicting the score is 31-13. What is your final score of this game?
Final score, I got Alabama 52, A&M 7.
I'm kind of right on with you. So this is the second game we are picking them together. I'm picking Alabama too. I don't think nobody's got it. I think Alabama's toughest competition, besides the Florida game, is going to be coming into the SEC championship game if Georgia gets there. That's going to be their toughest game on the thing because Georgia's defense has just been lights out, only allowing 5.2 a game, and they just killed Arkansas last week. So all right, let's move right along to our next game. Who do we want to go? I want to talk about this interesting team in Wake Forest out of the ACC. They're 5-0. They're going up against Syracuse, who Syracuse lost to Florida State last week. This game is at 3:30. It's at the Carrier Dome in Syracuse, New York. Game's on ESPN2. What does Syracuse have to do to beat this Wake Forest team?
Man, this Wake Forest team is really, really impressing me since what's the kid that came to the NFL that they had on the defensive side? I think probably like 98 and 99, they had a really good defense. They kind of reminded me of that. In the ACC, it switched things around when it comes to their football program. It's causing people to really start paying attention because the basketball program has really fell off on the deep end when it comes to ACC play. But if Wake Forest goes out with what they've been doing in the past few weeks, this game could be over with real early. If Wake Forest goes out here and play Wake Forest type style football, what they've been doing so far.
I mean, Wake Forest, if you look at it, they're 5-0. They had a season high of 501 yards total offense. The pass rush should roll through and improve, but still struggling Syracuse offensive front that's forcing a slew of takeaways, and all the puzzle pieces continues to be fitting together. This is what they said about Syracuse. Louisville was able to run on Wake Forest defense, and the Orange will try to give it a shot. The move former Mississippi State running back Bulldog Garrett Schrader to quarterback, adding more of a rushing element to the mix. He tore off 137 yards and 3 scores against Florida State, and has 7 rushing scores in the last 3 games. This is Syracuse I'm talking about. So along with Sean Tucker and his 100-yard grinding rushing ability, can Syracuse be able to rush on this Wake Forest defense?
That's the hope. That's the hope they can run the ball. I mean, in seasons past, they've tried to solidify the running game. Syracuse has, but that passing game and their tight end presence, don't let that be overlooked as well either. But if they can get a running game going, but you got to put points on the board though. If you can run the ball, that could cause some chaos on the defensive side and cause Wake Forest defensive coordinators and the captain to do things that's out of character, which they do not want to do. That's not the Deacon type of way with that defense.
Yeah, and one thing is that Wake Forest's offense is what you can say we call it eye candy. It's that slow quarterback delivery into the fullback or running back's belly. We don't know who's going to have the ball because sometimes that quarterback just ride that fullback all the way down through the line of scrimmage, and then all of a sudden he pulls it back and he's gone for about 15, 16 yards down the field because you misread the play. So for me, Syracuse's defensive ends has got to have to play their assignments. They can't be coming down with a straight on rush to the quarterback because if they go towards that fullback and running back, the quarterback can pull the ball, and that's going to go with the same way because they can run that reverse option on them. And Hartman's good on the run, so I mean he's got a good arm and he can rush. So what does Syracuse have to do to slow down this Demon Deacons? Do they have to possess the ball more than Wake Forest?
See, again, that time possession, that's key. Holding on to the ball is definitely key, but don't overcompensate the play action. That's one. Don't do that. You're right. The defensive ends must do their job. If everybody does their job, this is going to be a real close game. But Wake Forest is coming in with something to prove to everybody. The ACC is here to stay. We're not just a basketball and a soccer program. We can play football too.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think the ACC is now starting to come up with more. I think teams are recruiting better in the ACC. I think they're trying to strive with the SEC. I think they're coming along. They're not up in the caliber yet, but I mean, if you look at the SEC too, I mean, they still got some teams like Duke in there, like Vanderbilt, and teams like that. But I mean, like the top of tier is elite with Georgia. You got your Florida, you got your Tennessee starting to come back around a little bit here. Kentucky's starting to come around. Um, Alabama's there to stay. Texas A&M is up and coming. Not really. I don't think they're strong enough. I think they could be some of the ACC teams, yes. But I mean, I think the ACC has improved. I think teams are not going to give them that because they're most focused on on the college basketball. So, because ACC, that's what ACC is. They say they're as a college sports team, basketball team more than a football conference.
Right.
So you got that stigmatization, but the football, conference is starting to come around. You got NC State playing better. You got Clemson is now back in the pack of this ACC. I mean, it's teams has caught Clemson now. We didn't at times that teams didn't think nobody was going to catch Clemson. I think teams have caught Clemson this year, even though it's a down year for Clemson in the ACC. But they over and under in this game is 57.5. They have Syracuse winning this game 34-31. That's what some people are predicting.
They got Syracuse winning?
Yeah. Do you see Syracuse upsetting Wake Forest in the Carrier Dome? They're playing at home.
This means crazy turnovers on punts and a kickoff return being returned for a block kick. I can see all that happening for Syracuse to win. All three of those have to happen. They got to block a punt, do a kick return for a touchdown, and block a field goal. That's what I see. Wake Forest is coming in too strong on this.
So you're predicting that they have to score on offense, defense, special teams for them to win. So who you're picking in this ball game? Then?
I got Wake Forest.
I have the Demon Deacons also. I just can't go against Wake Forest right now. Wake Forest is playing hot out of their mind right now.
Yeah, this is one of those games you got to prove me wrong.
Yeah. So I mean, to me, I think Wake Forest is going to outscore Syracuse. I think Wake Forest is going to probably win 45-13. That's my pick right there.
That's a good score.
So, but we're moving away from this game, and we're going to go into. I picked this game for a reason, because it's Scott Frost versus Khaki Pants, hardball. We're going to talk about the Michigan versus Nebraska game here today. This game is at 7:30. It's at Memorial Stadium in Lincoln, Nebraska. Mm-hmm. They're playing in the cornfield now, the outside of the cornfield area. This game is on ABC. Michigan comes in at 5-0. Nebraska comes in at 500, 3-3. What's going to happen in this game for Michigan to win this game in Lincoln, Nebraska?
Man, the Michigan hopeful. You say they're 5-0?
They're 5-0.
This is a big game for Jim Harbaugh's legacy. And I know it's very young in his college coaching career, but for the future of the Michigan Wolverines football program, this is one of those games where they're looking at him to dominate this game. Bo Schembechler somewhere right now saying, you must dominate this game. Play like Michigan men. Captain Khaki Pants needs this W, but not just a 24-21 win, not a 17-14 win, not a 38-35 win. He needs to blow them out in this ball game, like 80s style football.
Yeah, I get you that. Well, what has turned Michigan around this year is their running and attack. They went to like an NFL style. Harbaugh's bringing of the rushing game leading to the passing game. So it's not him trying to match out with all these high power offense and going with the straight out passing game leading to his running game. He has his running game leading to his passing game now, and that's what turned Michigan around so far. And if you look at what they did to Rutgers and what they did to Wisconsin, their backfield, Michigan is leading in, fewest tackles lost for loss in the CAA. But the quarterback, Cade Kamara, has been in the back. He's been operating that backfield. They've been calling the right plays for him to match up. I think the run first, him passing second is doing great for him. I think that's turning this Michigan team around. What does Nebraska have to? Nebraska has to stop that Michigan running game to make Kamara have to be the forcible prediction of him passing the game. So how can they stop the running game? Put 8 and 9 men in the box and then forcing the quarterback to throw the ball?
They need to take this old school football stat. They got to slow this game down. No matter what, they got to figure out a way to slow the game down. They can't play up-tempo football with Michigan. Not now, not at the moment. Considering what Scott Frost has on the line, considering what they need to do in this game to win the game. But one, they got to play team ball. We're not team in the past. We don't have the best recruits right now. We don't have the best team. But what we have, if we go out here and execute what we've done all week, we can go out here and compete in this ball game. But if they get out of character, that opens up the floodgates, the passing game, stretching the defense with the tight end through the middle, getting the running game outside of the tackles, things of that nature, running a couple of options that can open up and really embarrass the Nebraska defense if they get caught out of character. But if they stay true to form, Scott Frost could look at this thing as not as a exit strategy. Maybe I'm getting fired Monday if I lose this game. But if they can compete, there's hope. There's a possibility of more pleasure to come toward Nebraska way if they can pull that off. But if they get out of character, it's going to be some issues. And that's pretty hard to say considering they're coming in 3-3 and they not have been playing Nebraska-type football. They really have not been playing that type of style. The black shirts are gone. It's over with. Let it go. Let's come out with a new identity for this team, this squad, and this coaching staff. But this is the game to do it now. This is the game to do it.
Yeah, I agree with you on that point. But should Scott Frost, you have Aaron Martine's mobility. He's good on his legs. He's been good at throwing the ball this year. He's going to throw something different at, Michigan's defense with the mobile quarterback because he's a very good mobile quarterback. Should you see Scott Frost go back to a Tom Osborne, style offense with this style team because he could run this. I mean, he could run that triple option, but
that's a hard ordeal to overcome with such a name and a presence, what Tom Osborne has done. And since he has left, the program has been a little struggling from time to time. It really has. Is he the right person for the job? Should he have left where he was at to come here? I know it's in everybody's heart to go back to the alma mater. They want to give back. I get that. But I think this was a move that should not have been made. You were fine where you were. You could have had the same notoriety there. But that football program is still being talked about. The NFL is looking at that program now. So you should have just stayed there. I don't know if he's trying to get to the NFL. Maybe that's his path to progression that he chose to take. But as a Nebraska fan, as a Scott Frost fan, when he was in college as well as the NFL, when he got the job, I was like, okay, I understand it. But it's not going as we thought it would go at all. This has not been a reunion welcome. Just like the brother-in-law who came to Thanksgiving, we already told him, nobody called him, so how did he know? And everybody looking at him like he got a problem.
Right. Yeah, if you look at Martinez here, he's been hitting 67% of his passes for over 200 yards in every game, averaging close to 10 yards per throw to go along with his 5 rushing scores in his last 2 games. So Martinez has picked up his play. He's been playing better. Martinez against the Huskers are great on third downs. They are dominating the team possession battle. Offensive is averaging over 500 yards per game. It might have taken a while, but the O is starting to work. So now you got a team that's coming in hot off the offense. You got Martinez is playing better, not turning the ball over as much as he done in the previous 3 games at the start of the season. So what do you see? Can Michigan force Martinez back into his turnover ways in this ball game?
That's that means there's going to be a lot of baiting. So that means they're going to allow him to get a couple of big plays off to let him feel comfortable to disguise it that way, then nab him that way. They can do it that way. But I'm looking at this. I want Nebraska to slow the game down on both sides of the ball. Slow it down if you can. Take your time on defense getting up off the tackle when you make the tackle. Take your time. Frustrate the offense. Then when you're on the ball with the offensive ball, come in with the right plays. Slow it down. Use that time clock. Agitate the defense. That way you get some offsides. You get some pass interference. You get a roughing the pass. I hate to put it that way. That's ticky-tack football, so to speak. But, hey, you got to do what you can to outscore the opponent.
Yeah, I agree with you too, but this is interesting stats here. The Husker, when they over 500 yards in a game, Huskers win. Huskers are getting 500 yards against Michigan. Aren't getting 500 yards against Michigan because Michigan's only allowing 300 yards per game. Has only allowed 500 to anyone but Ohio State since 2015. Nebraska is 7-1 over the last 3 seasons. With it comes with a 500-yard game, and it's 4-14, including 0-3 this year when they don't reach the 500. So how does Nebraska get that 500 yards so they can give them a chance to win? If Michigan holds them to their average of 300 yards, it's going to be hard for them to win.
Yeah, they have to go into their bag of tricks, Scott Frost. Give us some of them old NFL plays you remember. But if they can, I think the run game is going to be key for Nebraska. It's going to expose some things on the linebacking core of Michigan doing their job and understanding how to read what's about to come. How's the play calling going to come in with the defense? If Nebraska can take advantage of that, this could be a smiling occasion for Scott Frost.
Now, get this: let's do a big if game here. If Nebraska does get 500 yards and they do win this game, what would have happened to Jim? Would this start making Jim Harbaugh rethink what he's doing again and mess up this whole continuity he's got with Michigan?
He's going to get very Mike Leach in his press conference. He's going to pull the visor off and rub the hair and say, guys, I don't know where we're going right now, but we're going to figure this thing out. He's going to want one of those type of things if happens. And I'm hoping that if and it happens today, I want that to happen. I need to see a smile on Scott Frost's face.
Now, to me, do we think that Michigan has to be undefeated going into that Ohio State game at the end of the year?
That would make good sense. That would make for the pageantry of the game. It'd great content. It'll give a media uproar. It'll bring back the old school type of football ways between Michigan and the Ohio State. But that's something that everybody's hoping and wishing for, that they both. But I think both squads, and we're getting to the other game that the Ohio State has today, I think both of these teams have a tough road today.
Yeah. And we look at this right here. We're getting close to the prediction of this for us. The line is over and under is 50 points. Michigan's a 3.5 favorite. They are predicting the score to be 26-20. Michigan's favorite going 6-0. Who do you have in this game?
I know more Nebraska fans and people that have graduated from Nebraska than Michigan. And my old buddy down in Soulard is a huge Nebraska fan. This guy watches the game on FaceTime with his parents. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So I'm rooting for Nebraska. For the Tom Osbornes out there, the Grant Windstroms out there, the Tommy Frazier's of America. I'm rooting for you guys.
So you're taking Nebraska?
Who you got? Michigan?
Well, I'm gonna say Michigan because I think Martinez is going to go back to his turnover ways. I think Michigan's defense is going to force Martinez to have to do something that he don't want to feel comfortable doing, and that's throwing the football, and that's going to make him have more things. If he holds the ball longer, then that defense gets to him and sack him, could cause fumbles. I think he's going back to his turnover ways. I think Martinez. This is a big game. I think Martinez is not a big time quarterback. I think when big games get bigger for him, it's harder for him to play.
This is probably one of the biggest games he's had.
Yep, so far this year, probably.
Yeah, this is probably one of the bigger. This I know it's not at the 100,000 plus stadium. It's in the cornfields. This is when that hometown, the student body, got to really get involved into the game.
So this is gonna be the game we're gonna go different. You're gonna go with Nebraska on this one.
Yes, I got Nebraska.
All righty.
Close.
You
I got
hear,
Nebraska.
you heard it here first. Nebraska, according to Dre, Nebraska is gonna upset Michigan today, but I don't think so. I think Martinez is gonna go back to his way. I think Nebraska is gonna keep Michigan's gonna keep them under 500, and when they're under 500, they're under 500 play football team. So far this year, they have no wins this year when they kept the team under 500. So we're moving right along here to the next game that we're gonna go with here. Who could that be? Let's go with the BYU versus Boise State. This game will be played
BYU
at
against
3
who?
Boise State. This game will be played at 3:30 at LaVelle Edwards Stadium in Provo, Utah. Games on ABC. The record is BYU comes in at 5-0. Boise State is 2-3. So
The
would you?
Utahns.
So BYU is now, I think they're ranked number 10 in the nation right now. So who do you have? Who do you think? What do you think is going to transpire in this game here? We know about Boise State's and trick plays. We know about their trick plays. We know about their stuff they did against Oklahoma back in the Tuessa Bowl. We know how they like to run these trick plays and stuff. Will it come down to a trick play in this ball game for them to beat BYU?
I like the Utahns, by the way. That's what people from Utah call Utahns. The Ute. The Ute. I like their mascot. The BYU mascot can dance its ass off. I don't know if it's a male or a female. But Brigham Young, haven't watched them play at all this year, although I've seen his highlights. And every time I see highlights, I see the ball going in the air. They're throwing that thing. And they have been known to do that along with the trick plays, as you pointed out. But I see BYU just taking advantage of this early game for these two teams to me. Now, if this game was at nighttime, they'll look different. But I think early in the day, the student body is really going to get involved and bring this thing down to a normalcy level. Not so many trick plays, but the anticipation of Brigham Young airing that ball out is what I like to see in all the highlights. Haven't watched the game of them play all year, just highlights. As I said, every time I look up, they're throwing the ball, and they're doing it well.
Yeah, it's. I mean, if you look at it this way here, Boise State has managed to get offenses going with over 400 yards in 3 of the last 4 games, with one outlier, though, was the 21-20 loss to Oklahoma State. In that, a lot of ways, the pressure is off. It's been rough run with the 3 losses and a 41-31 defeat to Nevada in the Mountain West play. But the spotlight is on the top caliber BYU squad that really is truly in a college football playoff chase right now. But it has the nastiest schedule, unlike Cincinnati.
We're almost to Halloween. Things are getting spooky right now with the upcoming college football schedule for these teams that are unfamiliar territory when it comes to rankings. Will reality set in, or they got this type mentality? And you're right about Brigham Young's upcoming schedule. It's not the friendliest.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at it 2 ways here, Cougars aren't giving the ball away. That's a good thing. They're not turning the ball over as much. They are 6th in the nation turnover margin with just 2 giveaways, and they're going just about everywhere else right. Are you surprised what Brigham? Are you surprised what Brigham Young is doing when Wilson, since Wilson has gone into the NFL?
No, I'm not. I think that what's shocking is that everybody else is really starting to realize, hey, is that Brigham Young? Is that really Brigham Young doing that? They always in that one loss, they have that loss either early in the year or around late October, early November. And then everybody's like, oh, now Brigham Young has shown up. That's the Brigham Young who I thought. Are they contenders or pretenders? I think, in the words of Denzel Washington, time will tell. And today is one of those days. Not that big of a matchup, but still a challenging game.
But if you look at it this way too, you can flip it over to this side too. Will we see the old Brigham Young running attack because Boise State can't stop the run the ball a lick on run defense? It's shockingly mediocre, and the third down stops aren't there. So do we see the old style Brigham Young come back with the running attack first and then go pass, or do we see what we have seen with them airing the ball out throughout the whole entire game?
This is another matchup where I think that the offense is going to dictate what the defense gives them. If you're going to allow us to run the ball, we're going to run the ball. If you allow us to throw the ball, we're going to throw it. But if they allow them to have a balanced attack, long day, long day.
Yeah, and the Broncos are 2-0 this season when they run the ball over 120 yards, and 0-3 when they don't. BYU is only allowing 127 yards per game on the ground. They allowed anyone, including Utah and Arizona State, to take over. BYU defense will take over right away, but Boise will keep pressing with a decent enough from quarterback Hank Backmayer to hang around. However, in this case, all year Boise State will be good, but not good enough. That's what they are. That's what I've seen notes on my notes here. I've seen people. That's what they're stating.
Right.
Can Boise do it again? People had doubt them throughout the years in big games. This is considered probably going to be a big game since number 10 BYU is coming in. So, but this game is in Utah. So I mean, but they're playing on the road. Do we have to see Brigham? Do we have to see Boise State do at least 3 trick plays in this game to get them scores?
They're going to attempt trick plays, but I don't think they're going to pull them off. That Brigham Young defense is very stingy. They don't get out of character too often. They have great composure. They listen to the coaches well, and they have a good teach-back philosophy with the leadership on the field. But a trick play could be coming, but I don't think they're going to pull it off. They can attempt some trick plays, but I don't think they're going to pull them off today.
So, in this ball game here, Mr. Dre, we're looking at the over and under at 57.5. BYU's favored by 6 points. They're predicting the score to be 27-23. Who do you have in this ball game?
I got Brigham Young winning this one. Brigham Young. I got this probably like a 34-24 game.
So we both agree it's going to be a close game. We both agree that Brigham Young is going to win at home. Because, I mean, they're playing in Pro Bowl. They're playing up in the mountain areas. And I don't think Idaho is not going to bring enough potatoes to try to starch them down. So I have a feeling that BYU is probably going to run. I think they'll cover the 6, and I think the over and under will probably be on the over side. Because I think Brigham Young is just going to come in with their balanced attack that they've been running all season. I don't think they're going back to the old Brigham Young style offense where they run. I think it's going to be pass, run, pass, run. I think they're going to have their way. I think if the running attack does kick off with BYU, then you might see them do the BYU style, just keep forcing run till they stop them. But I think they just got. I think Brigham Young's is too powerful right now,
Right.
and boys is just catching a man beast right now. Because right now BYU is playing out of their butts right now. So out of
and you got Brigham Young winning too as well, right?
Yes, I do. We're gonna go ahead and pick a little bit of games here. Old Dominion and Marshall. Who do you have in this ball game?
Give me the Thunder and the Herd all day. I keep forgetting Old Dominion has a football team. I know they got a basketball team and a women's volleyball team, but I keep forgetting they got a football team. But give me the Thunder and Herd all day. We are Marshall.
Yeah, I think Marshall, because they're playing up in Marshall. I think Old Dominion's got their hands full. I think Marshall is going to be on the attack, and Old Dominion is going to be faltering here because they're on the road. I think Old Dominion plays better on home than they do on the road so far this year. So I think the Thunder Herd is going to thunder stop the Old Dominion and send them back to Hampton Roads with a beatdown. So, um, let's see here. We're going to talk about that one. East Carolina versus UCF. This play is played down in Orlando, Florida. This game. It's at 6 p.m. on ESPN Plus.
East Carolina against who?
UCF at UCF.
Mm. Mm. I like both of these programs. I've been to East Carolina game, but I got to roll with UCF.
Yeah, it's going to be partying in Orlando tonight. I think UCF has got to get back on their winning ways after Navy beat them for their first win of the season. So so I think they jump back on their winning ways in this one too. So I'm going with you on that one.
That program has been moving, man, the past 10 years, Central Florida. They have been slowly becoming a conversation when it comes to the NFL draft, where people are going to look and find players and talent. UCF has come a long way.
All right, we're gonna look at Akron and Bowling Green. Who do you have?
Never seen either.
The game is played at 12 o'clock.
At 12,
at Bowling Green.
Give me Bowling Green.
Yeah, I think the zip is going to be not zipped today. I think the Bowling Green
they're going to get unzipped today.
Yeah, they're going to be unzipped. All righty. South Carolina at Tennessee. Up in Neyland Stadium. Rocky Top. Is that going to be playing? They're not playing in that dump stadium in South Carolina. They're going up to Neyland Stadium.
This is the Hatfields and the McCoys. This is whose moonshine's better. My daddy can beat your daddy type matchup here. I love the schools. I love the history of both of these programs. I've been to both places. Is Tennessee back, though? Is Tennessee back? South Carolina trying to prove itself.
They sure did look like that last week against Missouri.
They did. They've shown some light. They've shown some light here. And what's the record matchup here?
I don't know. I don't have that one.
I think if Tennessee play like they played last week, they can win this game. But if they get caught up in the rivalry moments, looking at the fans, paying attention to social media, answer that phone call before you get fully dressed, then the game could turn sideways in South Carolina. The Gamecocks could win this big.
I agree with you, but I think Tennessee's probably figure out some of their mojo right now, and they just blasted Missouri in Missouri. Now they're coming back to the compound of Neyland Stadium, Neyland Stadium with the Rocky Top, with their fans and their party history of on the boats and water by the water, they're partying on the boats and stuff. I think they're gonna come in with the moonshine lit up. I think he gave South Carolina some moonshine before the game. I think South Carolina is going to lose this game. I think Tennessee is back.
Yeah, Tennessee looked really good against what Mizzou has done in the past. I think everybody's looking at that game like that. Mizzou, to me, is not really that good this year. I mean, they're competing on the field, but last week really lets you show the huge gap in the talent that both schools have. And if Tennessee can go in there today at home with 100,000 plus people cheering, this could be a good game for them as well.
Yeah. All right, we got about 30 seconds for our first commercial break coming up here. Miami of Ohio versus Eastern Michigan.
Eastern Michigan. Haven't seen either team play, but I saw something about Eastern Michigan. There's a lineman, I believe, with the New Orleans Football Saints that's out of there. That's the only reason I'm rooting for Eastern Michigan.
I think Miami, Ohio is time for them to straighten up. I think Ben Roethlisberger's jinx is going to come to an issue. I think they're going to win this game.
Big beard for the old man out there.
And did you say Tennessee against South Carolina? You picked Tennessee?
Yeah, Tennessee.
All right, so we're gonna come up to our first break here. Um, we are on the Fox D Network, and here's some few words from the Fox D Network.
This is the Fox D Streaming Network. Register to come on our channel at foxdnetwork.com.
Welcome back to the ASAP College Sports Breakdown here, coming to you live from Jacksonville. And my friend Montez, is back in the seat now. We get back in the driver's seats. Thanks for the Fox D Network, the platform that we own. We have our own ASAP Sports channel on the Fox D Network. We're doing some great stuff here on the thing. Yes, it's time to go fishing for Montez. Back in the old days with TNT, when they put up people out, saying that the team is no good at going fishing. I think Montez went fishing last week, after that Kentucky Florida beat that. Now the question is, I had to do it, but can the Gators get back on the winning ways against the Commodores?
Vanderbilt is not an easy win, as though it may seem like it on paper. I've expressed my thoughts and concerns about the play calling, the quarterback situation, our red zone offensive scheme. The defense is fine. Our running game could get a little better, but I'm nervous about this matchup. We should win this game coming off of that loss. Practice was very brutal this week. It got personal, got kind of heated. But I think teams need that. That Alabama game that hurt, we outcoached them. The score just didn't reflect it. And then losing against Kentucky last week. This game could really be important, or we can look at it as another game on the schedule. But I'm nervous about this game. It's not as easy as a win as people may think it can be. Vandy still can play football. They're not just a baseball school, people, and a soccer school and a wrestling program. They can play football too. But I'm rolling with my Gators in this game, just not a very high-scoring affair in this game at all. I don't see it. But we got to do a lot of things that are right on the offensive ball. I'm not worried about the defense. We got to do things right with the ball on offense, especially in the red zone. I'm not talking 3 points either. I need to put 7 on the board.
Well, this game is at high noon. All right. It's coming on right after we go off the air here. It's high noon at Ben Hill Griffin Stadium in Gainesville, Florida, on the SEC network. Florida comes in at 3-2. Vanderbilt comes in at 2-3. This game is also going to be streamed on ESPN Plus. Is Florida on a letdown alert in this ball game? We know you already picked Florida to win, but are they on the letdown alert in this
That's
game?
a good statement. That's a great way to put that and great point. Well deserved, needed. The fan base needs to hear this. The players need to hear this, and definitely Mr. Mullins need to hear this. We've been a different team each and every game this year. I don't know what's our identity. I really don't. I'm confused on what's going on. And it all starts with the leadership at the quarterback. That's who we look to. And right now, we don't know whether to look in the huddle or on the sideline for the quarterback. But, yeah, this could possibly be an alert for Florida in a very, very bad way.
Now, we're looking at the Florida's problem. Is it the head coach's problem, or is it the players executing his game plan the problem?
It's the plays that are coming in. I watched that game last week 2 times. Two times. And I saw things that everybody else should have saw, but they didn't. The confusion when the players come in. You're calling this? You're calling this? So that right there to me is the main issue. The plays that are coming in should not be the plays that should be coming in.
So how do they correct their efficiency issues with these plays? Do we see Emory Jones being sidelined here and bringing in Richardson if he's able to go, because he hurt his leg in one game?
I think this could be what happens on the first two possessions with Florida. That's going to dictate the nature of who's going to be up under center after that. If the ball is not moving in progressive fashion without penalties, the holdings that we're getting, that's another thing we got to address. We're naughty shouldn't do with our hands on offense. Committing way too many penalties. And that was addressed in practice this week. But the play calling is the key. Nobody at Florida is calling their own plays. Nobody. That's coming in from the sideline. We're not that institution. We don't have that first round top 3 pick at quarterback at our school. If we did, I could see a little, I got this, coach. Let me call these plays, a little understanding more of the game of football, your football 101 checklist. But we don't have that. So these losses and these play calls are on the coaches. That's who's to blame.
Yeah, I found this very interesting. Gators are 3-0 when they rush more than 245 yards this season. They're 0-2 when they're running under that. Do we see that running game getting back over the 245-yard mark?
Well, we had inclement weather last week. That caused a little confusion with the ball play as well. But today I think we're pretty good when it comes to having nice weather and the ability to run the ball and hold on to the ball and play Florida-type style offense and football. But again, it all starts with the play calling that's coming in.
Now we look at Vanderbilt. When we make fun of Vanderbilt sometimes because they're the doormat of they're like the so-called Duke University of SEC football, like Duke is the ACC football.
They put out great lawyers. They win your case.
Yeah, they get you down. You get your hopes up at certain parts of the season, then you don't get your hopes up. And they're talking about this game could be over before halftime in Florida's favor. This game is 38.5. Florida's favored by 38.5 points. The over and under is 59.5 in this ball game. What does Vanderbilt have to do? If Vanderbilt's defense can get Florida to go 3-0 in the first series of the play, is that a confidence booster for Vanderbilt?
What Vandy has to do to compete in this game or beat Florida is throw the ball. We're real sloppy on the corners. We make a lot of mistakes with our hands. Secondary is confusing sometimes on the coverage. There's no maturity on our defense in the secondary especially, so we're going to gamble. We're still thinking we're in high school. We're still making play. We're gambling on the play. We're doing a little all the right moves with Tom Cruise, Stefan Georgievich. When you plan the play of the ball, and that's where we're having the yellow flag come out all the time because we're taking these chances on defense where we shouldn't have to take those chances. But if Vandy attacks them, throwing the ball, that could be the confusion right there. But if they go out here and just play run, pass, run, punt, Florida's going to have a field day with that.
I agree with you on that. I agree with you on three of that topic too. I think Vanderbilt's offense is not good. It's struggling. I think Vanderbilt's defense is not that good either. I think Florida's playing at home. I think Florida's mad because what they did, lost to Kentucky. They didn't want to lose that streak since 1986. This last time Kentucky beat them up in Kentucky. So I look at two things. I feel like Florida's coming in mad. Florida's coming in hot. I think Emory Jones don't get the ball moving through the air or on the ground. I think we might see Richardson, and I think we might see a total Florida different offense. Now we're talking about October here for Florida. At the end of the month of October, it's the big game against Georgia. So now the question is Florida overlooking certain teams on their route to Georgia?
No. We've made this perfectly clear. We're not looking at the largest outdoor cocktail party the way the media wants us to look at it. It's just another game to us. It's just us playing Georgia, and Georgia record happens to be here. We've been in this situation before. We could create an uproar when we win that game. We're going to create havoc in the top 10. That's going to be a brutal game. Brutal.
Yeah, I mean, anything can happen. And leading up to that largest cocktail party here in Jacksonville, where I'm located at here, there'll be some partying going on down here in
Man,
Jacksonville.
if I could still drive, I tell you, I want to come down there so bad.
But, I might take some pictures. If I get into the game, I might take you some pictures and stuff while I'm there.
If you get into the game, what's stopping you?
Well, money issues.
Oh, okay. Hey, we can get you a sign. Write on the sign what you want to do and just stand on the highway, and we'll get you a ticket.
Yeah, that too, and stuff like that. So, I mean, I'm looking into it. I'm just trying to see how much it's going to be by the time, because usually the tickets will go down here if Florida's playing bad or if Georgia's playing bad. So, team fans don't want to make that drive up here, or they don't want to come if they're knowing that their team is playing bad. So if both teams are winning, the tickets are usually about $200, $300 a pop on the third market team. So, but anyway, so you have Florida winning this game. I'm gonna go with you on this one. I just hope Florida don't make me lose twice in a row.
You telling me? You better watch the national news if they lose that game today. I may break 3 TVs today if they lose this damn game.
All right, number 11, Michigan State versus Rutgers. Who do you have in this ball game?
I feel an upset. Give me Rutgers.
You getting Rutgers?
I feel an upset.
It's playing in New Jersey, but again, we know what happened last week with Ohio State, when a ranked team, Ohio State, came in and they blistered them. I think Michigan State is going to do the same thing, but because Michigan State's playing out of their mind right now, so I'm taking Michigan State in this ball game.
Gotcha. So we're picking apart on that one.
Yeah, we picked apart on like 2 games so far. No, 3 games. We picked apart on the Michigan-Nebraska game, the Miami, Ohio, Eastern Michigan, and we just picked on Michigan State and Rutgers.
Okay.
Gotcha. So UTSA, University of Texas San Antonio versus the Western Kentucky Hilltoppers at Western Kentucky.
Give me the Hilltoppers. Love that name. Love that name, Hilltoppers.
Well, I'm gonna do the other reverse psychology, because you took UTSA the last 3 weeks, so I'm gonna go with, and then you have one, so I'm gonna go with UTSA. So University of Texas San Antonio has been playing good football here lately. All right, we have University of Texas El Paso versus Southern Miss Brett Favre's alma mater. Who you have in this ball game?
This is
at Harrisburg, Mississippi.
Give me Southern Mississippi.
This is going to be a good old Southern fight.
When is Brett Favre going to go to the game?
I don't know. I'm going to take UTEP. I think UTEP might be on a winning spree here coming up. All righty. North Texas versus Missouri.
For the second week in a row, I'm going to go with the Missouri football Tigers.
I think Missouri's going to be a little bit mad. I think self-control for Northern Texas is not going to be able to do it, so I'm going with you.
Prove it to me. I know a lot of Mizzou alumni. My buddy Brandon is a huge Mizzou fan. And my buddy Jason as well. But I think Mizzou is really going to let the fan base know, and the institution and the football program know, look, we screwed up last week. We can go ahead and play better football. So I'm hoping that's the outcome today.
So you're hoping that's going to be the good outcome right there out of that thing. Okay. So we both got Missouri there and stuff like that. So how about San Jose State and Colorado State? Who do you have? This game's at 3:30 on FS1.
Give me Colorado State.
So Colorado is not going to be smoking too many joints.
Shout out to my 420 people. There it is.
Yeah, I think you're right because I think San Jose State plays better at home, but they don't play better on the road. So I agree with you on that one. We have Central Michigan at Ohio.
He's Central Michigan.
Yeah, I'm going with the road voters. They're going to be keep on rolling on that one. I think Ohio's all right, but I don't think they. I think Central Michigan can go into Ohio and beat them. Well, how about Wisconsin at Illinois today at 3:30 on the Big Ten Network?
I think you and I can put a team together to beat Illinois.
So you're going with Wisconsin?
Yes, Wisconsin going to beat the living crap out of them.
Not so fast, my friend. I'm gonna take it from Lee Corso here. Not so fast. I think Illinois is gonna win because they're playing at Illinois. I think Wisconsin's got their feelings hurt for the past few games. I think Illinois is gonna come out. I think Illinois is gonna do what they did the first game of the season, even though Brett Miller is not good after the first game of the season. But I think he's giving that first game speech again. I think he believes it's gonna be the first game. He's got to tell his mind it's gonna be the first game. I think he puts a good coaching job in today. I think Illinois is go on to win this ball game. Because you got to understand, Brett Miller used to coach Wisconsin, so
Okay.
I think he's going to put it against the Badgers. How about the UConn and the Minutemen of UMass?
UConn playing who?
The Minutemen of UMass.
It's
University
a
of Massachusetts.
basketball matchup. It'd be awesome. But this, unfortunately, is football. I got to go with UConn. In the words of since they're close to Bristol, I'm gonna go with UConn.
Yeah, I'm going with you on that one. Well, whoever faces UMass is just going to plumb them. I mean, UConn's got enough talent to plumb them. Plus, you say it's close to ESPN. It's only about an hour and a half away from ESPN. ESPN is a big freaking block in Bristol, Connecticut. I've been there. Tried to get in and see the studios, but they wouldn't let me in. It's top-notch security there.
I did the tour, man. I'm glad I got a chance to do it.
Yeah, they didn't. They stopped the tour for a while back now.
Right.
Yeah, I tried to use Stuart Scott to get me in, but it didn't pan off too good.
Booyah, my man.
But he was still here. So, all right, we're going to go ahead and talk about this next game here: Ohio State versus Maryland. This game is at high noon at Ohio Stadium in Columbus, Ohio. This game can be seen on Fox Network on the local channels. Ohio State comes in at 4-1. Maryland comes in also at 4-1. Who do you have in this ball game, and what do you see in this ball game? Let's break this game down.
Upset alert. Fear the turtle. Maryland defense is going to do things today that's going to blow everybody's mind. They're going to get after the Ohio State today. They're going to be hungry. That defense is going to be very tenacious. I'm feeling an upset on this game.
For Maryland to win,
they got to keep the pressure on. That's what Maryland must do. Keep the pressure on the Ohio State. Keep it on.
Yeah, I look at some of this saying the Friday night game against Iowa, Maryland, best work. The Terps were stumbled up 51-14 with a little offensive production to many mistakes. Too much pressure against a good team enough to now be ranked third in the country. They had 7 turnovers, 10 penalties. Generally aren't going to get it done. So if they have another output of that game against Ohio State, fear the turtle won't be fearing the turtle too much. So they have to clean that. Maryland will have to clean their 7 turnovers and 10 penalties. They have to be better on that. They cannot go in there and do that number right there against Ohio State in Columbus.
You can't help Ohio State out. Don't help them out with penalties, especially that. Don't do that.
But, however, the passing game should work a whole lot better this week. Yeah, Buckeyes destroyed Rutgers, but the secondary can be pushed a bit. Tulsa O'Brien, Davis Brent put up over 400 yards against Ohio. State, and then Akron had to hit 200-yard mark through the air against Ohio State. So Tallulah, Tallulah, and Tagovailoa, he's gonna have to have a game. He can put pressure on this Ohio State Buckeyes defense and secondary, which it's not their weakest point. It's their weakest point right now. If you look at Ohio State, that's how you want to attack them. But again, he cannot have those turnovers that he had last week when they got blown out by Iowa.
Right.
So he's gonna have to be better. If he throws the ball over 300 yards in this ball game, I think they have a better chance of winning if he gets that with no turnovers.
Don't help Ohio State out and take advantage of the turnovers that Ohio State gives you. You got to score off those turnovers. Just can't be punting the ball back after a turnover possession. You got to put points on the board.
So do we see the Maryland team that put on a show against West Virginia? That was about the best game I've seen them play so far.
I would look at that game. I would look at that film and get some points out of that to try to ignite the defense. That's a great call. But I'm looking for just them to be hungry on defense. Everybody do their job and make me one special play, and that could ignite the defense to do this the whole game. All it takes is one special play from a young, undersized underclassman that nobody's really been talking about, but had a good week in practice, and he goes out there and does something spectacular on defense and turns around the whole complexion of the defense in this game and gives a W for Fear, the Turtle.
So we're looking at C.J. Stroud, the quarterback for Ohio State. He is against Akron. He hit 74% of his passes, 330 yards, 5 touchdowns against Rutgers. He has been keeping the pressure a bit thanks to his defense that will give up over 400 yards, but will he be fine? So can C.J. Stroud continue his play against the Terps defense?
If he gets into a groove, it's a long day. Don't let him get in the rhythm and get in the sync. You got to keep those adjectives to the side when you're facing this kid because he does have a lot of talent. He has arm strength and arm talent, and he makes the right decisions. But I haven't seen him get raffled yet and makes and creates and does the wrong thing and throws interception or fumble or run the ball and gets hurt.
Now, do we see the Terps try to throw blitzes and different mix up the coverage against them to make it? Why does I got this? You have a freshman, high school, they teach you how to read some of the defense, but not all the defense. In the NFL, you have rookie quarterbacks that can throw all kinds of different coverages and stuff like that. Why hasn't college football defensive coordinators have thrown any kind of different looking defense at these freshman quarterbacks?
You just answered your own question. They want to stay within the boundaries. They don't want, because the overseer is the head coach. You got to go through him. If it doesn't fit what he's trying to preach, you're not going to be able to do it. Listen, everybody that has worked up under Nick Saban, what they tell you when they leave, I wasn't allowed to call this or use this scheme. It doesn't fit what they're trying to do with the program. It's out of character for them. It takes one or two coaches to step outside of the box. And the offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, and the head coach all understand all three of us have a job is to get a W. But let me do my job. And if you let them do their job, you get more creative plays and more blitzes and different schemes thrown at these underclassmen, these freshmen, these rookies. You will get that. But they're trying to stay what the coach motto is. That's what all they're trying to do.
So we're looking at this. So Ohio State is a 21-point favorite over Maryland. The over and under is 69.5. They predicting the score to be Ohio State 44, Maryland 26. Who do you have in this ballgame?
I got Maryland winning this one. Very, very, very close game. Maybe come down to a possession or a field goal. But I got Maryland winning this one, probably 30-35 or maybe 28-31 type deal.
Does this game hurt Ohio State in that battle for trying to get the Big Ten title?
Yes, you can't have two losses in the Big Ten. Can't do it.
So you just answered my question there. I'm gonna go with Ohio State. I think they're gonna play big. I think they're trying to keep up with Jim Harbaugh and the Michigan Wolverines to that big battle at the end, where they probably gonna end up pulling that off. But I'm not gonna say that right now because I got a few more games I want to watch Michigan play before I make my decision on that type of game when we get to it at the end of the season. But I think the Buckeyes survives in a tight one. I think Buckeyes survives 24-21 on a field goal. So they can go ahead and dot
Dotting
the
the
I.
I.
They can go ahead and dot the I for that one here on that game. So let's see what kind of game we're going to come up with next here. Let's do the Ball State and Western Michigan game here. Let's talk about this game a little bit. This game is at 3:30. It's at the Waldo Stadium in Kalamazoo, Michigan. ESPNU will be there. Ball State comes in at 2-3. Western Michigan coming 4-1. What do you see in this ball game? What do you see? What kind of offense do you see that Ball State can do to beat this Western Michigan team?
I've only seen both of these schools on highlights, and every time I look up, somebody's running or the ball is in the air a very long time. I think Western Michigan puts up a lot of points. Am I right?
Yeah,
Their
they do.
passing game is much better than their running game.
Yep.
Yeah. So I'm going with that. I love the aerial assault teams that know they're good at throwing the ball and they stick to it. They don't try to come in and try to change it up. They stay with the game tempo and the expectations. Ball State, I'm just going off the history with them. Their defense is like, okay, a little bit. They've had some uproar, a little clap here and there. On the offensive side of the ball, there's been nothing consistent. So I'm going to go with Western Michigan on this one.
You go
So
with
there's a
Michigan.
Western Michigan, an Eastern Michigan, a Central Michigan, and a Michigan. Lord have mercy. They covered the block.
So you're not going with David Letterman's alma mater, huh?
No, not this
Ball
week.
State. Well, I look at it this way too. If you look at some of the stats here, if you look at the Cardinals' defense, from yardage total allowed, although the air has decreased over each of the 5 games, but all the good things Western Michigan is doing is averaging just 3.7 yards per carry, is struggling in the red zone, and special teams are having a few issues. Ball State has to take whatever break it can get to win this ball game, and I think Western Michigan's running attack is not there. I don't think it's going to be there against Ball State. I could be wrong. This could be a breakout game for them in running the game, but it is playing in Kalamazoo, Michigan. They're pretty good at home. If you look at it here, the loss that it started the season with the loss of Michigan that looked a whole lot better. Now the passing game has been outstanding. The ground attack is getting yards. But even if they aren't slew of big dash plays, the offense is dominating time possession. So, yes, they do big plays in the pass game. They do have a little bit of running game, but they are timing the ball a little bit because they're throwing these little mediocre wide receiver screens for a running game, the little screen pass to beat our running game to try to control the clock. So if they get in these type of games and Ball State can't stop this, Western Michigan is going to run all over them. The over and under in this game was 57.5. Western Michigan is a 12-point favorite, and they're predicting Western Michigan 26, Ball State 13. So I'm going to go with you on that. I think Western Michigan will win this game also. So we're getting down to some big games coming up here in the next few here. Let's go a little bit while we're right now on the cusp, right now, trying to get to some of these big games. Let's talk about Virginia versus Louisville. Louisville coming off the loss.
Louisville.
Yep. Louisville's coming off a loss, coming off that loss to Wake Forest. Virginia's coming off the win. So who do you think is going to – do you think Louisville is going to be more upset and try to take it out on Virginia in this ballgame? It's playing in Louisville.
Yes, I think they're pissed off. The way they lost, the expectations of them going into that game against Wake Forest, and what the program has been trying to do to keep that offensive production going, keep moving up the rankings, and be known as more than basketball U, to put some name on recognition on that football program. But yeah, I think they really got a chip on their shoulder after their performance against Wake Forest. I'm looking for them to come out throwing the ball and being aggressive on defense, being really aggressive on defense.
Yeah, this game comes on at 3 o'clock. Is at Cardinal Stadium in Louisville, Kentucky, ACC Network. Both teams comes in at 3-2. Virginia has some letdowns in games against North Carolina that they actually played pretty good in, and it came down to the last little bit of plays in that game, and Carolina just struck up gold in that game. The Armstrong went over 600 some total yards in that, whatever you want to call it, non-defensive game, basically. So we know Virginia can play some big time games, and they can handle themselves in here. If you look at Louisville, past defense isn't a total disaster, but is the worst in ACC play. To be fair, they play in Ole Miss, UCF, Wake Forest has something to do with that. But Florida State was able to throw for 248 yards against their defense, the Louisville defense. That's not saying too much because Armstrong's a better quarterback than some of what the Florida State Seminole has on their roster. So, do we see Virginia's quarterback Armstrong going over and throwing all over Louisville's defense right now?
No, because of what happened against Wake Forest. I think the defense is going to be really, really aggressive, force them into bad throw decisions, creating turnovers, but also a high penalty situation as well. But I think Louisville's defense is going to be ready for the cause today. Any and everything, everybody man up, do your job type of mentality. That's going to be talked about. If everybody does their job and we execute the way we should and know how, and if they had a good practice this week, that defense could be the focal point of the victory today.
And now I'm looking at this. I'm looking at one key thing here about Virginia. Virginia doesn't turn the ball over a bunch, but they do have turnover margin issues. What is their problem of these turnover margin issues? They don't turn the ball over as much.
I think they're trying to test everybody's defense other than just going what they know how to do, which Virginia in the past has been known to run the ball very good between the tackles. And I think something has been lost where they think they can throw the ball all the time. And that's not the case with everybody you play in college. The game plan can be the same for everybody that you play week in and week out. Somebody got to do some homework and understand the type of defense you're about to go up against. And maybe we can come up with a game plan that can match the style of defense the team we're getting ready to play, if that makes sense. That's ideally what you would hope teams go into thinking. But some teams come out just no matter what, this is the game plan we're going to go with. And I think teams, the lack of a better term of understanding what you have and using it, do your job.
Yeah, we're looking at that. We're looking at two things here. I'm looking at two things here for this. The Cavaliers, as yet this season, hasn't won the turnover battle. Is this going to be another case for Virginia not winning the turnover battle against Louisville?
If Virginia wins the turnover battle, that means it's going to be a close game. And as I said, I think Louisville's going to win the turnover battle because the defense is going to be so pissed off at what happened against Wake Forest. They're going to come out and try to make it a statement game, create an identity early in this game, very early.
Yeah, I agree with you in that aspects too.
But Virginia would have to play a perfect game to even make this a close game, not win it, but to make it a close game. They don't turn the ball over that much. They need to have one of those games. The penalties are like, okay, we understand mistakes happen. But letting the other team take advantage of the penalties and the turnovers, that's where you got to draw the line in. We got to put a stop somewhere.
If you look at this right here, Louisville has one key win to jumpstart their season. It might be 3-2, but lose this, and it might be a tough to get 3 more wins to go bowling without an upset or 3 for Louisville. Where if you look at Virginia has a octane fun offense, but they have a problem putting games away. It couldn't get past North Carolina, Wake Forest, and it needed a missed field goal against Derek King-less Miami team to get by. So if you look at their issues here, Wake Forest, North Carolina, Wake Forest game, they could have won that game, but they couldn't put them away. Same thing with Miami. They did win that game because it took Miami's missed field goal to actually for them to win it. They didn't win it on their own. it took somebody else had to miss their key kick to put to help them win that game. So we know what Louisville's offense is with the big plays and the big runs and stuff like that. But can Virginia's front seven put pressure on Louisville's quarterback and force him to make mistakes?
I don't think so. I think they're going to be well prepared on the offensive side just as well as the defensive side. Louisville is, because they were pretty much slapped in the mouth. They thought they were the better team in that Wake Forest matchup. They thought they were going to win that game before the game even started, but they lost the game. So a chip on their shoulder, they're pissed off. They want to go out here and prove that they're a much better team than what we saw.
Now, on the opposite end, can Louisville's defense get to Armstrong, the Virginia quarterback, and force him to make mistakes?
I see 5 sacks today and probably 2 picks.
Now, how about Virginia's tight end, the one that played so good last year? He's been not consistent enough this year.
Did he get hurt like week 1 or week 2?
He played against North Carolina in that game.
I thought he got a little banged up. That could have been the issue. But you're right. He's not playing the way he played last season. Maybe the fans being back are making him nervous.
That's a key point, too. So we know how loud Louisville Stadium can get. You know, it's going to be loud today. It's going to be a sellout crowd. You got Salaway, the coach for Louisville, the former Appalachian State, who knows a little bit about big games, who knows how to put teams away. We know the consistent of Mendenhall, his team cannot put teams away, but they're getting big plays. Do we see this going to be a closer game than what people are expected to be?
No. People are wishing for a close game. It's going to be Louisville all the way. I think if Louisville wins the coin flip, they're going to defer. They want to put the defense on the field first to start this thing off the right way.
So you got Louisville in this game? Yes. I think now they call it Louisville. They call it Cardinal Stadium. It used to be Papa John's Stadium. I think the pizza is going to be flowing in it anyway on the field. I think Virginia's going to keep the game close. It's just their forte. But like I said, it's going to come to the key play at the end of the game. I think Louisville is going to make a better play at the key. So I'm going with Louisville also in this ball game. The next game I want to get into right now is the Penn State and Iowa game. You know, this game is played in Iowa. We know this game is at 4:00. It's in Iowa City, Iowa, at Kinnick Stadium on Fox Channel. Both teams are coming in 5-0. Both teams are playing good. Penn State's number 4 versus number 5 Iowa. I really like that fourth quarter. They stand up and turn around. I will be watching this a little bit of this game. This game is coming on at the same time as my Florida State and Carolina game. My Tar Heels play at 3:30. So I will be turning back and forth because I like to see the fourth quarter. They turn around and, wave at the Children's Hospital. I think that's very, sentimental for them, what they do for the Children's Hospital there in Iowa. I appreciate that in their ability. But where do we see here? We see a good defense and a good offense for both teams. What's going to happen? James Franklin has now got Penn State rolling where James Franklin's supposed to already had him going. But now he's got him rolling this year. They got a good defense. That they have that one guy, I think he wears number 11 or number 7, the linebacker. He's been all over the field. We've seen him against that Wisconsin game. He had a key interception, picked the ball out of midair. Do we see Penn State going into Iowa and pulling this game out at the end?
My good friend Sarah, she's an alumni of Iowa. And Iowa has some very, very unique traditions that go on game day, after the game, during the game. I've won money and lost money on both of these schools this year. That fourth quarter is very, very special. That's a great point you made. But both of these schools in this matchup, this is a huge game. This is a huge game. This is bold defiance. This is college playoff type game here. on who wins this type of game here. As bad as I want Penn State to win this game, I think Iowa is going to pull out a little hometown hero magic and win this game with that great fan support and fan base they have. But Penn State has won in the hostile territories before and won a game. So this is going to be a good matchup. It's going to be a very, very good matchup. They both bring something on offense, defense, running game, the tight ends, the linebacking core on both of these squads. There is a hidden intangible somewhere, though.
Yeah, I look at it this way too. I found some interesting statistics about this here. Our defense does a lot of takeaways, a lot of turnovers. We know the quarterback for Penn State has some problems throwing some interceptions in some games, and especially when they played Wisconsin in Camp Randall, he threw a couple picks that was in a vise. He thinks he's like a Brett Favre type there, trying to force the ball in these tight coverage. We know how Iowa plays these tight covers. They're very good at tight coverage on the wide receivers. Now, if Penn State has turned it over in the last 3 times all year, one in each of the last 3 games plus 6 on the year in turnover margin, it doesn't have a problem with mistakes. Penn State this year has not had a lot of key mistakes in games. And they played a lot of, they say they went in a lot of hostile territories. They have. They played in a lot of hostile territories. Penn State knows what they got to expect when they go to Iowa. Can't get caught up in the crowd. You can't get caught up in the fourth quarter emotions. You can't get caught up in everything. You can't get up in stuff. It's got to be a fourth quarter. It's got to be a battle between all the way through the fourth quarter. We don't have to say that, Penn State or Iowa have to play a perfect game, but they have to play close to a perfect game, not a mistake and helping other teams out. So whoever wins the field position in this ball game can win this game. Do we see Penn State offense will be in a little bit more contrast because they can put points up in a hurry? Iowa has to drive the ball down the field. There's 2 different stakes here. If Iowa cannot get the ball down the field quickly enough, or they have time possession to keep Penn State's offense, is that a very good key for Iowa's game plan today to keep Penn State's offense off the field? But then again, you got to play against that pesky defense of Penn State, who has been playing outstanding this year.
Right. I like that point you made about perfect defense and perfect game plan. It sounds real good when you say it. It sounds real good when you write it down on the board. But when the team gets that message, that carries a whole lot of weight in executing the game plan out there. But one of these teams are going to have to play mistake-free football. Whoever has the lesser amount of penalties, especially in the secondary, we know there's a hole on the offensive defensive line every time and every play. But those secondary penalties, that's where the hold up, wait a minute, we can't be doing that, because now field coverage changes and the drive continues and the momentum now shifts, whether it's for Iowa or for Penn State. So those mistake-free, keep my hands to myself, turn my head around, has to be really pointed out and emphasized today on both sides of the ball.
Yeah, if you look at it if you look at some of the thing they're talking about Penn State, as long as Penn State's offense isn't scoring up, the defense that is 3rd in the nation in scoring defense and 2nd in the red zone defense will take care of the rest. Penn State, if Penn State's offense don't help out the other team, Penn State's defense is really good to keep the other team off the scoreboard with the red zone thing. We've seen it in Wisconsin game. Had multiple times they got in the red zone, multiple times they got turned away, especially that 4th and 1 play that they went for, and they stopped them on the run. That's big for Penn State because Iowa's a big running team. So it's going to give them confidence. Look back at what they did at Wisconsin, because Wisconsin's a running team. Now that you got to go against an Iowa team in Iowa City, which is a dominant team at home. And, but you also got to understand Penn State's played at a big home. Their conference is a big test for everybody to come into. So they know the mistakes of what college football is about. But can Penn State force that game plan on Iowa's defense and make Iowa's defense look, like mediocre?
Penn State is real good at adjusting their game plan. They're really, really good at that. I don't know if it's James Franklin. I don't know if it's Michael Keenan that's head coaching that team. But either way, they have a way of getting to those players in a timeout. Look at the way he talks to those players with eye contact, and they go on that field and they get the message. But if Penn State is allowed to adjust their game plan based on what Iowa is giving them, this could be more than a close game. I could see a couple overtimes, maybe 2 or 3 of them.
You know, this is another key thing, too. I will have the ball for 34 minutes to keep control of the game, but Penn State will clean it up until it needs a big late drive, and that's when the one game-changing turnover will come. That's what most people are saying right there.
Yep, the slot receiver and the tight end is huge to Penn State in late game drives. Watch the slot receiver and the tight end.
And then if you look at it, most people in Vegas are picking Iowa to win 20-17. Iowa's favored by 2 points. The over and under is 41.5. So are you taking, Mr. Franklin, are you taking Penn State or are you taking Iowa?
I'm taking
number
Iowa,
3.
man.
You're taking number 3, number 4.
I got to go with Iowa. I got to do that for my good friend Sarah. She's probably at the game.
Well, I'm going against you on this one. I think Penn State's been playing great. I think this is the one key game that one of the key games they had circled on their wagons here in the season. Franklin wants to go into Iowa and prove that he's a better coach than what he has been in the past few years. So I think Penn State's on the roll. I think Franklin's got him on the roll, like the Vanderbilt roll that he had Vanderbilt in when he was there at Vanderbilt. I think they're on that roll now. I think Penn State's got the team thing. I think Nelson has matured enough. I think he won't throw that key mistake at the key point of the game. I think he's played within himself the last few games, and I think the confidence is growing for Penn State. I think the confidence began to grow right after that Wisconsin game with that big turnover, the big interception, the big plays they had on defense. And that pesky defense guy either wears number 11 or number 7 for Penn State. If he's all over the field again in the day, it's going to be hard for Iowa to run that. They're running tag and going to force Iowa to pass. Iowa's not a big passing game team, but they have got maturity on the quarterback who can get the ball down the field. But my saying is, I think Penn State is going to win. I think it's going to be a close one. I think the score is going to be flipped. I think Penn State wins 20-17 over Iowa.
I got a close game as well, or 2 to 3 turnover. I mean overtimes. I can see it going that way as well.
So we're going to look at this. Who you have the Oregon State at Washington State? Who do you have in this ball game?
Oregon State playing who?
Washington State.
Give me Oregon State. Oregon State.
I think Oregon State has a good team, and I think they're going to go up into Washington and beat them. I think Washington is struggling without Leach being there, so I think that program is starting on the way back to where it used to be before Leach got there. Back down to the bottom there. We have TCU versus Texas Tech at Texas Tech.
The Horned Frogs against the Red Raiders.
Yeah, and it might not be too hot in Texas. I don't know. It's better that fall season in Texas. But TCU coach still will be sweating again. I hope he has some changeable clothes because it looks kind of sick. It looks like he's been in a shower or something.
He sweats profusely.
Yeah, I know. So, who do you have in this ball game?
Oh man, I see a high scoring affair. I see a video game type score here. Can't wait till next year on Gen X when college football comes back. But I got the Red Raiders winning this one.
You just like seeing the Red Raiders, don't you?
Yeah, I do.
I think the sweat is going to rub off on the football. The Red Raiders are going to have trouble keeping up with the football. I think the Horned Frogs might win this game here.
I'm going to watch that game to monitor his sweating. I'm going to watch that.
I'm going with TCU. I'm going to pull the TCU. Going to go into Red Raider country and pull the sweat out and win this ball game.
I got to write this down on my board so I can get to
What's
watch
that?
that game. What time that game?
This game is at 7:00 on ESPN.
Oh my God.
How about Buffalo going into Kent State at 7 p.m. on ESPNU?
Who was the matchup?
Buffalo going into Kent State, not the Buffalo Bills, the Buffalo Bulls. Going into
Thank you
Kent
for
State.
clarifying that for me, sir. Let's go with Kent State on this one. Never seen either program play. I've always seen the box score on both of these schools. But I
Well,
just something about Kent State.
Kent State can run the ball, can throw the ball. I think Buffalo is on a down year. They've been up there pretty good last couple years, but I think they've been playing bad football so far this year. So I think Kent State will win this game easily. How about Georgia Southern and Troy?
Georgia Southern. I like that program. They remind me a little bit of early days of UCF. Don't they a little bit? Just a little bit.
A little bit.
Just a little bit.
I'm going to go also with Georgia
with
Southern on this one. I think Troy's not there this year. So, how about South Alabama and Texas Tech? Texas State, I'm sorry.
Oh, South Alabama and Texas State. Give me Texas State.
Yeah, I think the South will. I think Texas will rise over the state of Alabama in this one myself. All right, Wyoming and Air Force.
I'm a Navy man, so give me Wyoming.
Yeah, Wyoming's got to go up to the Air Force. They don't have the ID to get on the base, so I think Air Force will win this one. So you got Wyoming, I got Air Force. All right. So we're going to go back and look at our next big game that we're going to talk about. Be West Virginia versus Baylor. This game is at 12 o'clock at McLean Stadium in Waco, Texas. So we got the crazy people going to be in the stands today. They let them out of the institution. Yeah, the asylum at the university there. The record, West Virginia comes in at 2-3, but they are better than what the record proposed. And yes. Baylor comes in at 4-1. So what do you see? How does West Virginia go into Waco and defeat the asylum people of Waco?
The passing game has to be on point. Throwing to our players, that being the Mountaineers, West Virginia, instead of the opposing team. Minimize the penalties. Look, I know penalties are going to be called, but you got to minimize those penalties. We got to minimize them. They in the mistakes. And West Virginia can go out there and play West Virginia type football. They've got a little bit off course. I think they're trying to switch it up and do things that's out of character to them. Go back to what has got the program, where the program is at, throwing the damn ball. Throw the ball.
So, to me, West Virginia, if you look at West Virginia's schedule, and they should have been 5-0 right now. It could have been ranked number 3 in the nation. The Mountaineer has come really close in beating amazing teams. They stopped turning the ball over against Maryland. They couldn't come up with the one big drive they needed against Oklahoma last week. Nice comeback attempt against Texas Tech was whacked by a last-second field goal. These are heartbreaking losses for West Virginia, and these are morale. Not morale booster, morale letdown.
Morale killers.
Yes. The momentum
morale
killers. Letdown. So, to me, the Mountaineers have to get back to Mountaineer football. What they did against Virginia Tech. Run the ball, pass the ball. Run the ball, pass the ball. Play action pass. Got wide open behind the Virginia Tech's defense. If they play like they did against West Virginia and today's ball game down in Waco, Baylor's going to have a problem to match up with West Virginia because West Virginia's defense is not that bad. It's just that offense of West Virginia is letting them down over and over in games by turning the ball over, getting the defense in short field. Now, for Baylor to win, if Baylor can win the turnover ratio and get these short fields against West Virginia, because many teams have not drive the length of the field against West Virginia's defense. It's these short turnovers that killed them to get them short field position to put the defense in a disadvantage. So if Baylor cannot get West Virginia to turn the ball and they have to drive in West Virginia, it's good for West Virginia. But if West Virginia turns the ball over and Baylor has 45 yards to go for a touchdown, it's good for Baylor. So what do we see that transpire of this ball game for Baylor? What does Baylor have to do in this ball game besides getting these turnovers? Can they drive the length of the field? That's going to be the question because if West Virginia don't come and turn the ball over, that's what they will be doing.
I like what you said. Those are great points. Turning the ball over is detrimental to the team. We all know that. But it's where you turn the ball over. Now, if you're going to turn the ball and pinpoint them and make it a turnover punt, which we all love, but if you turn a ball over and give them an opportunity to put points on the board, that's bad. And if Baylor can take advantage of that, I can see Baylor having a field day with this game against West Virginia.
Yeah.
But if West Virginia comes out the other way and attack the game with the aerial assault plan, like I suggest they do, instead of other BS they're doing, go out there and play the style of football that got you in the mouths of people, the fan base having an uproar since the days of Major Harris. But right now, go back what got you here and throw the ball.
I agree with you in some points there and about this thing. And my coach also, I played high school ball, not very dominant in college style ball, but my coach, he played at Citadel and coached Citadel. He said that he always told the team, if you're going to turn the ball over, you want to turn the ball over on going into our end zone, away from our defensive end zone, going towards where we're going to score to their end zone. If you're going to turn the ball over, the best place to turn the ball over is at the 5 or 10 yard line, even though you don't score, because you got to make them drive the length of the field. It's like a punt, really.
Yeah, turnover punt.
So now if they get it on the plus side, not the minus side, the plus side is the key detriment that has hurt West Virginia this year, because they've been turning the ball over on the plus side of the field, so that it's giving the teams 45, 35, 25 yards just to get a touchdown. It's easier to get that way because you don't have to drive over 95, almost 100 yards to get it to the end zone, because you have to call series of plays. But this one, you can call multiple different type plays and get you in that end zone, you're already in scoring. Basically, you're already in scoring territory with field goal already when you turn the ball over on the plus side. On the minus side, you're not. When you turn the ball over, you're not in field goal. They have to drive and get the points. You still have a chance to stop them before getting across the 50. But if you turn it on their side, on the plus side, they don't have to do that because you're already in field goal range, so they got points. But now you're putting pressure on your defense to stop them out of the end zone. And now if West Virginia don't do that, it's going to hurt their defense this year. Then this ball game,
also the turnover point. If the defense is playing really good and you do a turnover punt, now that defense has opportunity to do a scoop and score, a pick six,
right,
or even a safety.
But so how does the Mountaineers, like I said, and they use this one point in one of the commentaries I was reading, the background check this thing, they used that Virginia Tech game. That's why I led it with it. They use that Virginia Tech game as a barometer that what West Virginia has to do against Baylor. If they play like that against what they did against Virginia Tech, they have a good chance of going into Baylor and win. But Baylor needs to do more than just get West Virginia into a turnover battle. They have to prove to themselves, because you're not going to have a short field all the time. You got to have a sustained drive. And that means you got to go from your 10, your 20, your 5 maybe, all the way down to get a score. Can Baylor's offense do that against
second and 3, and 2nd and 7 makes the offensive coordinator job a whole lot easier. Gives the defensive coordinator hell, but offensively, if Baylor is able to do that, get in those situations, long day afternoon.
Now we know Baylor's offense is behind Larry Fedora. We know what Larry Fedora likes to do. He likes to get that very first down and then speed that tempo up. Can West Virginia not, on consistent basis, give him that key first down on drives where they have to speed, where they can be speed up?
You ever heard the announcers call a game and they say the defense can't wait to watch the offense get back on the field? Yep. You ever heard announcers say that? That's how I think West Virginia is going to play this game today. They want to see the offense get on the field because they're the sexiest part of football, that West Virginia passing game. And if they stick to that, they can put up some big numbers as far as the passing game is concerned when it comes to West Virginia football.
Now, we know how good West Virginia is against the run. We know how good they are against the pass. We know their defense is stingy. So Larry Fedora is going to run that middle, that read option up that middle. If West Virginia's defensive end comes in because they know they want to get out to the pass rush, that read option negates that pass rush because your end has to play the option read first. Because Larry Fedora is on his passing, he always puts that ball in the running back's belly to give the illusion of that run action. If they get that running game going, that play action pass going, will that hurt West Virginia's problem today?
I think so. It could be a challenge. It could be a test. It could be something they prepared for because they know Larry Fedora, what he's capable of doing, what he has done. They looked at his college resume. It speaks for itself. But you don't want to over analyze this and paralyze the defense, so to speak. We don't get too analytic on this thing and over address the situation. If the defense just does their job in understanding the run, he likes to run between the tackles up the middle, the read option. If they know that, they can control this game based on the first 4 drives when Baylor has the ball.
Right. I agree with you that. So who you have in this ball game?
Man, I'm going West Virginia. I'm going back with the Mountaineers, man. I'm going back with them. In the days of Will Greer.
So you're going with the Mountaineers and the Huskies.
Get my squirrel hat on and run.
So you're going with them. To me, I have some issues because I've seen West Virginia play all these games that they should have been 5-0. The issue comes with some in that fourth quarter. The mentality of the fourth quarter has given this team problems, except for that Virginia Tech game, because I watched that Virginia Tech game. And the Mountaineers pushed their will all throughout that game. Even though Virginia Tech did come back in the game, they just outmanned them, they just out physical them. They did everything they needed to do right. And Larry Brown, the running back, was tremendously good. But the losses they had, they went away from Brown. Today, they have to stick with Brown. If they stick with Brown, West Virginia can win this ball game. But if they go away from that, they're gonna leave the door open for the wackos. I like the tradition down there. Them crazy fans running in, the students running in, trying to find their seat. That's kind of good. It's like a herd of cows going in the stadium. But today, they're just going to be running for nothing. I think West Virginia will win this game myself.
It's like spring break in the 90s.
Yes. So, breaking right along here. Let's talk about the Duke and Georgia Tech game. Yeah, we know Duke is a doormat of ACC football. Georgia Tech had a good game against North Carolina, but they lost to Pitt in Georgia. They're going into Durham, into Wallace Wade Stadium, a dump high school football stadium, basically with no fans really there. Can Duke win this game?
You really like letting people know you're a Carolina fan, don't you?
Hey man, you got to think about it. The ugly shade of blue. It looks like Kentucky blue. I mean, they can't get on their own colors. They got a stadium that sits 45,000 people. I've been in that dumb stadium, and I went there when they played Miami when they had Testaverde there. Because that's to get Duke fans in the stadium, they give youth tickets away for Youth Day for free to all the churches in the state of North Carolina. Hopefully they'll come. So, I mean, to me, they don't fill up like a few quarters of the stadium. Is this the season that Duke will let Cutcliffe go because he hasn't really done anything since he had Daniel Jones there?
If you're a Duke football coach, you're not there to win games. You're there to do something better for the program. All you have to do is win probably 2 or 3 games. No, probably 4 games as a Duke football coach. We talked about this before where coaches get jobs at the institution and they don't realize certain games you can't lose no matter what. You can't lose to that school. And when coaches take jobs like that, they got to realize that. I can't lose to this program. But Duke and Georgia Tech, I don't think this is that game where we know it's student body versus student body, the lawyers against the IT world of America. We get that. But on the gridiron itself, this is not one of those games where Duke coach is going to be let go losing to Georgia Tech. Yeah, Bobby Ross is gone. Calvin Johnson is gone. We get all that. The national contingency of splitting the championship is out the window. But Georgia Tech is Georgia Tech football, and Duke is basketball and soccer, and leave it at that.
But technically, not really soccer because women's soccer team in North Carolina's got 22 national championship, more than what that basketball team.
The men play soccer there too.
Yeah, but the men ain't done good against North Carolina either.
Hold on, lacrosse.
They had won some in lacrosse. I'll give them that.
Yeah,
and Carolina has won some in lacrosse too. So
my point: Duke is known for more than football.
Right. But I mean, if you look at it this way here, we know how Georgia Tech beat North Carolina. They did all these stunts on their center because that's the weakest point of North Carolina. The offensive line was their center. So are they going to run the same defense they did against North Carolina against Duke? Because you have Morant, you have Durant, one of the best running backs in the country for Duke. You know, he run the ball. He's 190 pounds, but he runs much bigger than 190 pounds behind his frame. He gave North Carolina hell at the first few drives last week until I think he injured his shoulder. If he's playing at full strength today, he's going to give Georgia Tech hell on that defense. But the quarterback, Gunnar Holmberg, he ran the ball the first 3 games that he won. They ran the ball effectively. But against North Carolina, he could not run the ball effectively because they took that away from him. So now they made him turn into a thrower, and he's not a very accurate thrower. Is the same game plan that North Carolina threw at Duke will be the same game plan that you see for Georgia Tech.
Georgia Tech needs to go at Duke in the air first. In the air first. They're going to come out here expecting to run. They're going to expect to run on the first 2 possessions with the first plays of the first drives of those 2 possessions that Georgia Tech has. But if Georgia Tech comes out here on that first 2 possessions, first down, let's throw this thing. Change the complexity of the game. Change the tempo. You can switch it up by throwing the ball on first down. Make it a good throw. Just don't be throwing the ball, just be throwing the damn ball. And that'll change the whole tempo of what Duke is trying to prepare for the rest of the game. Because Duke is going into this game expecting the run.
Well, we look at it this way. Georgia Tech against Pitt and Clemson, both they lost, but they were 200 yards rushing and 200 yards passing on a regular basis. And against North Carolina, they put Sims in there to run the ball, which got Carolina's defense kind of mixed up because they're playing a dual quarterback in Sims and Mills, I think is the other quarterback. It's one of the passing quarterback. So what we see first, if we put Sims in there, will they do a reverse way of thing? Because Sims can throw the ball too, but he's more of a running quarterback style than the other quarterback who's more of a passing style. So they have 2 dual quarterbacks. Can Duke be ready for these 2 dual quarterbacks? And which quarterback will have the thing? Because what happened was against Carolina, the passing quarterback was doing okay, but the rushing quarterback was doing terrific. So they put him in more plays against North Carolina. So
here's what I saw. Here's what I saw with the Duke highlight film. Their secondary has speed. Has a lot. They can cover the ground. Can they defend the play? Can they create a turnover with the secondary? The secondary has speed with Duke. So be careful trying to stretch the field, but it can turn into a turnover punt situation as well. I like the reverse call, using the dual quarterback and using their truest attributes to help you win. The one that can throw the ball, have him throw the ball. The one that can run, we can do the reverse of the option with him as well. But if it's going to be a 2-headed monster, that's that confusion that's going to be going on. But the people at home are going to really know how to call the game then. That's going to make us appear smarter than the people that get paid the millions of bucks to do this. Because we're going to know the offense and the defense if that is allowed to happen. Improper substitutions are going to occur then.
But see, my thing with Duke's game plan was, they have speed in the secondary and stuff like that, but Carolina made them play zone more because they had to put 8 or 9 men in the box because Carolina had the rushing game going a little bit. And so that caused them to have to play more, not man, but a little bit more zone because they're trying to stop the Carolina running game. But Carolina's receivers was getting open downfield, and the 15, 16 yards downfield. Now, Virginia Tech has one speed guy who can break the defense and is probably a little bit faster than some of the secondary of Duke. So if they get the passing game going consistently, and that opens up the running game now because Duke can't play that 8-man and 9-man because they got to respect the run. They got to respect the passing game. Can Georgia Tech defense run those stunts up front on Duke's offensive line to get pressure on Holmgren to make him be like what Carolina made him be, inaccurate, non-avoiding the game?
Absolutely. I think they can cause havoc and create turnovers. Get executing the play before it's even done. Bad throws, bad decisions, early timeouts, because the coach is going to know what is going on. They're going to disguise it well, but I like that, what you said, there's different stunt schemes that Georgia Tech is going to throw at Duke's offensive line and quarterback. It's going to be confusion.
I mean, that's what they did in Carolina. It really confused the hell out of Carolina. I mean, yeah, people call Carolina garbage teams. I understand that because of the way they lost to these teams this year. But Georgia Tech really did come with a defined game plan. They looked at the game film in North Carolina, and they said, hey, North Carolina Senators are not good. They can't pick up on the stunts. They ran a lot of stunts. Now, Carolina, on the other hand, didn't run a lot of stunts against Duke. They just ran out straight out quicker blitz schemes and bully blitz and everything else. They really didn't blitz. They took the defensive corners and used their speed and their bull rush to get to the quarterback. Georgia Tech can do the same thing, but also Georgia Tech can do some stunts that could really confuse the guard and the center, and that's what they have to see. Because Georgia Tech's coach is really good at picking the flaws on the defensive side of the ball of teams and use it to their advantage. They didn't use it very well against Pitt because Pitt is to me, Pitt's a team to beat in the Coastal right now because they got their quarterback is on fire, their defense is on fire. Pitt is just unbelievable right now. Pickett is off the chart at quarterback. He's playing better than Sam Howell. He's been playing better than most of the quarterbacks in college, in North, even North Carolina State quarterbacks. He's outplayed them. He's outplayed George Clemson's. I mean, Pitt had the best quarterback on the field that day and had the best stride against Georgia Tech. But you got to look at Duke. Duke comes in this game. They're 3-2, I think. That's what they said. They're coming into the game here. They're 3-2. Yeah, they're 3-2. But Duke's 3-2 is not susceptible of being that 3-2 team. Duke should have been 0 and something right now. But they played teams that they could beat in the first 3 games. And that Carolina game really, really destroyed Duke's mentality of their offense and really put Holmgren back in the blocks where he's supposed to be, because they were filling him out in the whole pregame show was that he was going to run all over Carolina, what they've been doing the thing, but Carolina stopped that. Carolina made them into a one-dimensional team, made him force him to pass. He couldn't do it. So if Georgia Tech does that to Duke this day, can Georgia Tech beat Duke in Wallace Wade Stadium badly?
Yes, I do. And I don't think Georgia Tech needs to go into a bag of tricks, go deep into the offensive playbook, go deep into the defensive scheme, attack this game like a regular matchup. Just a regular matchup. Play your game, execute what coach gave you. Don't overextend. Don't do what's not expected of you. Stay in your lane. Everybody has a job to do. There's going to be flags in this game, probably a whole lot of them. But if Georgia Tech stays what Georgia Tech should do, they're going to win this game. I don't see an upset. A whole lot of things have to go wrong for Duke to win this game. A whole lot of things.
Well, I mean, they got one of the best running backs in the country in Durant. We can see how he did in that first drive against North Carolina. Then he got kind of banged up or something, his shoulder or some issue, and he kind of tailed her off. They had to go to that backup running back. If he's not that injured and he is coming out playing today and running like he normally does in the first 3 games that they played, when he had like over 200 some yards rushing, and then you had Calhoun, who off of Durant's rushing is getting the ball down. He's got one of the speed guys for Duke, who got away with that second half touchdown. The only 7 points that they scored against Carolina was in that open half of that second half. The game was already put away, basically. But
so you're thinking Duke gonna run the ball that much?
They're gonna have to.
They're gonna
Durant's
pass the
best
ball
player.
probably 10 passes. Now, if Duke passed the ball 10 times, and run the ball the whole entire game, now we got confusion.
Because I'm gonna tell you why. The best player for Duke right now is the running back in Durant. He's the best player, period, for Duke right now. He's the only one that really scared me when we went into that Carolina Duke game. How could we stop him? Because behind his pads, he's only 190 pounds. Behind his pads, he's much bigger. So if Georgia Tech allows him to get on the game, it can't stop him early, and he don't get no nicked up or no injury. Durant could give Georgia Tech hell in this ball game today.
Right. I agree. But I think Georgia Tech is smart enough. The coach knows enough. If he noticed they're running the ball that much, there's going to be definitely some substitutions and a different game plan from the defensive side with Georgia Tech. But I think that is not what Duke is going to try to do, run the ball 40 plus damn times to win a ball game today. No, I don't see that coming. Be interesting, though. Be like Army playing Navy type football game. All those.
Yeah, I mean, but to me that's the only way Duke can beat them.
Well, that was a school that did that in the ACC years ago. The quarterback was hurt. He messed up his shoulder, and the backup kid was sick, and the other option quarterback was the punter, I believe. I want to say it was either East Carolina or Wake Forest a few years ago. They just ran the ball the whole game. And we didn't find out and the weather was real bad that game. We didn't find out till after the game that the reason they ran the ball because of the quarterback situation. His shoulder was messed. He couldn't throw the ball. So all they did was hand the ball off the entire game. It was somebody in the ACC that happened a few years ago. Now, again, if Duke does that, okay, I applaud you for being unique about how you want to win this game and attack this game. But Georgia Tech has to be on point and on board to recognize that if that is the way that Duke wants to come out and play this game.
Yeah, all right. Georgia Tech is favored by 4. The over and under is 60.5. They got Georgia Tech winning the game 34-27. Who do you have winning this ball game?
Georgia Tech. Give me the Yellow Jackets.
I think the rumbling wreck for Georgia Tech is going to be rumbling wreck from Georgia Tech, and I think they can bring the Model T car down here. It won't even get scratched up in this ball game. So I got Georgia Tech in this game also. Right quick, let's talk about let's go back and let's talk about North Carolina and Florida State game. This is going to be an interesting game because we know what happened last year when North Carolina played Florida State. Florida State jumped on North Carolina early and often in the game. Carolina made a comeback in the second half. It came down to the last play of the game. Basically, North Carolina couldn't get it in. Florida State won. This is a revenge game for North Carolina at 3:30 today in Kenan Memorial Stadium. Florida State comes in at 1-4. North Carolina comes in at 3-2.
I know you want Carolina to win this. Florida State wants to win this game. They still haven't really gave Bobby Bowden the treatment he deserves with that program this year. But every time these two schools play each other, crazy things happen. Either with turnovers or just aggressive play going back and forth. You score, I'm going to score. You score, I'm going to score. But I think Carolina has Florida State's number this year. They can go ahead. You kick a dog when it's down. You're damn right you better, because you let that dog get up, it's going to bite you. And right now, to me, the way these programs are looking and how they've played this year, I think North Carolina has the edge in this game. Now, will it come out that way? This pregame talk. Will they execute what we're talking about? We don't know. Based on the past of both of these teams, they're a different team week to week. We wish they were consistent with their play when they win, but they're not, unfortunately. But again, I see Carolina having a hell of an edge in this game.
Yeah, I agree with you in some aspect. The most aspect I don't agree here in this. I am a Carolina fan, but I'm going to be biased about this whole situation. My whole concern is our center position at North Carolina. If Brian Anderson plays today at our center position, they're going to be in our backfield all game. Sam Howell's going to get hit all game. If Florida State runs that same defense and look at the Georgia Tech game and say, hey, we can run these stunts up the middle, you do that. But what Carolina had most success against Duke last week was they took Anderson out and they mixed the platoon, their center, where the two backups, the second and third string is better than the first string. The offensive line is supposed to be the strong part of North Carolina this year because they had all starting five coming back. But Anderson is really let down in that center position. So if Anderson don't see the field today, Carolina will be fine at the center position. But if Anderson does start the game and they start running him game and tackles and stuff like and give fits with Carolina, that's going to give Florida State some momentum in this ball game here. So we know how good Florida State's defense is, but they found a quarterback last week and what has given Carolina trouble on defense is a good running quarterback. And Sims did that against Georgia from Georgia Tech. He did that against Carolina. Was a good good quarterback runner. And that really hurt Carolina because he gave them an extra running back. And so, but Carolina's defense last week was about the best defense they played all season long against Duke. Even though it was a rivalry game, blah, blah, blah. I understand that in that portion here. But like you said, Florida State has gotten a little bit of win because that 1-4 record doesn't look, too as bad because it took Notre Dame a Hail Mary to win. It took the Hail Mary for Jackson State to win. It took overtime for Notre Dame to win 2 of their games. They got, Sam Howell can throw the ball. Syracuse couldn't. That probably helped them out a little bit too to get this win against Syracuse because they don't have a passer. But Sam Howell can pass the ball if he's got time. And that's what Carolina needs Sam Howell to have time to do. But also Carolina's got problems in the running back position because Ty Chandler is the only running back that is getting positive yards against team. And he's small, but he's more agile because he can help you in the passing game too. So what does Carolina have to do to make Florida State beg for mercy in this ball game?
Run the ball down their throat. Run the ball down their throat. We just talked about what Duke should do. Carolina needs to run the ball against this Florida State defense. They cannot stop the run for the life of them. You think they got problems on the pass coverage. They really have problems with a running back that knows how to run the ball. I don't know if it's the blocking schemes, the confusion of the play, but something, maybe the schematics of it is just confusing to Florida State when it's looked at from the defensive side, looking at the offensive run play.
Yeah, and a key point here too is Carolina going to come out being mad because what they did against Florida State last year, and what they called this was they called this game a shocking choke of a loss to Florida State last year. It should bring out the A game for Carolina. Is this going to bring out the A game for Carolina because they're playing in front of their fans? Because Carolina plays better at home than they do on the road.
This is with the fans being back. That's that extra boost. This is really where the home field advantage this year is more prevalent than in years past to me in college sports. Because last year, what we went through. Now these kids get to show off in front of everybody. And Carolina needs that home field advantage more than anybody in football. They really do. But if they stay with the game plan of running that ball, sorry, Bobby Bowden and Florida State Seminole fans, this could be a long day.
Yeah, and I like the way the ACCs are doing. Some of the schools are doing for Florida State, putting the picture of Bobby Bowden's hat, put Bobby Bowden up there. North Carolina did that today for this game too. They put it up on one of the walls there. I think it's very good at showing Florida State in their institution,
respectful,
stuff like that. So, I think this is going to be a game. I think Florida State is going to be emotional with each game they play this year because it's under the tutelage, playing for Bobby Bowden, because he's of his passing this past year.
Right.
So, what are we going to see here? What do you see Florida State winning this game, or do you have North Carolina winning this game?
I see North Carolina winning this. That's who I got winning this. I got North Carolina winning this. And like I say, it could be if they really run the ball and attack, go after Florida State. Don't wait on Florida State. Go after them. This could be like a 45-13 type game for Carolina.
Yeah, they're projecting 37 North Carolina, 17 Florida State. Carolina's a 17 and a half favorite. 64 is the over and under in this ball game. This is a very big game for me because if I can win, I have bragging rights over my wife. If my wife wins, she has bragging rights over me. This is the house is about it. She is a Seminole fan, so we all right. So you know, if Florida State loses, I could be sleeping in the doghouse tonight because I'm gonna run the train on her. Be
I
running the
love when
stuff on her. So.
spouses are in the sports together, whether it's collegiate or pro football or whatever sport. I love when they go at it in sports and they both bring valid points to the table. But I think the Seminoles are in trouble today. So you get to have anything you want for dinner for the next week if you win this.
All right, so we're gonna go ahead and I want to go ahead and talk about the Oklahoma number 6 Oklahoma versus number 21 Texas. The Red River Shootout at high noon. I like this game at high noon because it's got the Cowboys, battle. The high noon. This is a high noon game. Meet at 12 o'clock. 10 steps and turn and shoot the first fire. So
Austin,
now
Texas,
what we're going to look at here. We have Lincoln Riley that's been in this game more times than what we have Texas coach in Sarkisian. So October 9th, this is get today at 12 o'clock Eastern time, is in the Cotton Bowl in Dallas, Texas.
Dallas.
ABC 5-0 Oklahoma versus 4-1 Texas. What are we going to see here between Lincoln Riley and Steve Sarkisian? This is not the same Steve Sarkisian that we've seen at USC now.
He's sober
this
now.
is a different one.
On
This is the one that went to Alabama and got his head screwed on right because Nick Saban made him screw his head on right. Now he's back out production quarterback. So what do we see from Texas in this ball game?
Going to see Jerry Jones, Matthew McConaughey for the coin flip, hopefully. But this game, you're talking about big time. The past, ghost of past, coaching legends of the past, players in the NFL, former players of the NFL. This is going to bring it all out. You're talking about bragging rights as we do here with Missouri and Illinois during basketball season. But this game here is big. This is huge. This is more than border patrol type of situation. But Oklahoma needs to play damn near perfect football today. Everything has to be perfect. From uniform to getting on the field to coming off the field. We must be unified this whole game. Or Texas is going to take advantage of that and have a field day. This really is a home game for Texas in my eyes. It's a home game for them.
Yeah, it's we all know Texas and Oklahoma, they sell half the tickets to both teams. Both schools get there, got to have the field. They bring the wagon from Oklahoma, into Texas. They bring the big, Bevo from Austin up to this game. So, it's a big rivalry here. But, sometimes you see this game when Texas win, Bevo looks at the chuck wagon kind of flips, in this one. So I don't think this is the best Oklahoma team that Lincoln Riley had, right now. I think they're on a suspect trip. I mean, the only game they really played a perfect game against was Western Carolina when they shut them out, So if you look at that, I mean, every other game has been a struggle for Texas. Texas State had them beat dead right, and they came back and won that game. West Virginia did a comeback on them. They still won that game, but they're on the verge of losing a game here and there. Is this the game that you can see that Texas will come in, play a complete game, and pull this upset against this number 6 Oklahoma team?
I can see Texas trying to do this, trying to really, really pull this off. But this could be another overtime situation game, two to three overtimes in this game because the intensity level, the fans are back, the student body, the tradition. All of that's going to get caught up in this game. I think both sides are going to be real nervous on first possessions, really nervous in this matchup due to where they're playing at, this venue, and the matchup.
Now, if you look at the last two matchups, they had to go against Kyler Murray and they had to go against Jalen Hurts. Now they're going up against Rattler. Rattler's he's not the same quarterback type as Jalen Hurts or Kyler Murray. He's trying to
Right.
be, but he's not there. He's not there yet. He needs probably about one more year. He might be getting there in next year. So do we see, since they don't have a dangerous mobile quarterback, and Texas is out front quick, can Texas jump out a quick lead and get Oklahoma panicking?
In the days of Major Applewhite, I think it can be done. I think it can be done. I think you're not trying to be those other guys. You have to go out here and do what you can do. If you can't run, it's no problem. But we need that arm talent and that football IQ to kick in. Coaching gave you the plays. If it's not there, now what are we going to do? If the play he gave you is not open, what are we going to do? The backup plan going to be key.
And if you look at Texas wants to stay behind Kennedy Brooks and Eric Gray at the running back, combining over 5 yards per carry for both running backs. We know Oklahoma's defense is not that great in stopping the run or the pass.
We give up the points.
They don't do the bend and don't break defense. They do the bend and break defense. They break at the end. We know how good Spencer Rattler is with his passing. He's 76% of his passes. Do you see Spencer Rattler getting that 76% of his passes completion today against Texas defense?
I think Texas defense is going to be a whole lot better than Oklahoma's defense. I think we both know that. But is it going to be trying to stop the run or slow down the passing game? Meaning no pass completed over 15 yards. If they can have something like that, I can see the high percentage on the short throws. Keeping it simple with a game plan like that, just dunking the ball off here and there instead of trying to go for the home run or stretching the field.
But we know Lincoln Riley's offense is a big play offense. It's that one, you get the 15-yard pass and he wants to go deep.
Yeah, he does.
Will Texas lure them into false belief that they can go deep on that after that 15-yard completion? But we know Texas is going to give us some 15, 16 yards.
All it takes is that one guy to slide up. That one guy slide up, we going long, Coach. We going long. If them guys in the back slide up, they going deep.
But if they don't slide up, because when we talk about them sliding up, it's talking about Oklahoma's getting their running game going. But Texas defense is good against running.
It is
running.
It really is.
Stop it. So if they can stop the running attack, that's going to take away their corners biting on the play action pass and coming up, and they're going to keep them deep. So do you see Oklahoma can be able to drive the length of the field without deep plays?
Yeah, they can do that. They can do that. Yeah, just you can have a medium pass game with a heavy emphasized run game, but again, taking what the defense give you. If they want to play the run, we're going to pass the ball. If they're going to play zone, we're going to take advantage of the zone. They're going to go man, we're going to take advantage of the man. But I think it all goes down and boils down to what those guys upstairs see, but they can call the game. Because they're controlling the game. The kids got to execute what coach gave us. If they can execute based off the X's and O's that the coaches see on the field, that could be a huge vantage point. But if not, it's going to be one of those 2 or 3 overtime games.
Now we're talking about Oklahoma a little bit. Now let's flip it to the side of Texas. If Kennedy Brooks and Eric Gray average their 5 yards per carry, is this going to be a long game for Oklahoma?
Yes, because now you're in the 2nd and 4, 2nd and 5 situations. And you don't know what to do when teams come to the line like that. They're going to pass ball, run the ball. Now, if you do this or do that, they got a first down on 2nd down. Here we go. Let's extend the drive. Tick, 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 tick. Having that run game where you're averaging yards over 4, 8, up to that 5-2, that's good. Those are good numbers. Those are workable numbers that can help the offense figure out what they want to do with running the ball, open up the passing game, doing something different with the running game, not just in between the tackles, outside the tackles, doing some options, doing a reverse. What is that going to give us?
Yeah, if you look at two things you look at here in this too. Kennedy Brooks and Aaron Gray are the same type running backs. They get power, they can breakaway speed, they can catch the ball. They don't in between. Some teams have your first and second down. You put your third running back in, one of your running backs who can catch the ball at the backfield. This team don't have to do that. This team can run the same guy first, second, third down. They are interchangeable. Some series they would run him the whole entire series, and then the next series they come back with the other guy. So how hard is that on the defensive coordinator to know that their running backs are interchangeable?
You got to, no matter what, you got to emphasize on the defense. If we're going to stop the run, we're going to stop the run. Don't worry about who's running the ball. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about the name on the back of the shirt. Just attack the number. They get that in their head, it'll be fine. But we all know athletes get caught up in the hype of themselves as well as the opposing team. Social media is different now. It can affect the gameplay and outplay of games when the game starts and is being played. But if they go out here and attack these kids, just, hey, this is another running back. Let's go. But the two-headed monster is something else. I'm sorry, the three-headed monster, because they can run, they can catch, and they can run fast if they get an open tackle. They can go.
Now that makes a little bit of here. I'm going to turn it a little bit. Can the Oklahoma linebackers cover these two running backs in the passing game?
So that's one thing Oklahoma has always had, speed at the linebacking core. They probably can't tackle, but they can stop your movement, and that's all they need to do, just slow you down just a little bit. And I don't think they would have any problem as far as covering the running backs on passing plays. I don't think they're going to have a problem with linebacking core. I see a plus side on that for Oklahoma.
Now, the quarterback for Texas, how do you see him attacking Oklahoma's defense? Because we know Oklahoma's defense is going to be pretty good at trying to stop the run, but it's going to leave some exceptional for them one-on-one coverage with the wide receivers for Texas. Do we see Texas doing what Oklahoma wants to do and go deep on them?
I see Texas try to take advantage of going deep on Oklahoma than the other way around, because Oklahoma's secondary defense is not the best in the country, not the top in the country. It's not even discussed, I don't think. But up front, linebacker to the line, that's a different story. But if they get behind the linebackers and are able to get a move, make a move in the secondary, I could see Texas having a field day in the passing game.
So we come to this point. Oklahoma's favored by 3.5. Over and under is 63.5. They say Texas is going to win 31-27. What do you have winning this ball game?
Give me Texas. I got Texas winning this one 28-24.
I agree with you, too. I really don't like Oklahoma. I like Lincoln Riley, but, since he left East Carolina and all that other stuff. But, I I don't like Oklahoma. And, it can go all the way back to Barry Switzer's days. I didn't appreciate, that running option crap, what they try to do and how they try to, not take their best players off the field when they got a 24, 30-point lead. They try to rub it in your face. I think Texas is going to win this game. I think it's going to be close. I believe the score is going to be 31-27 Texas. I believe the score what they predicted here is going to be the actual score of this ball game. So we're moving right along out of this game here. I want to go ahead and talk about the Georgia and Auburn game.
Ooh.
We know that, this game is at 3:30. It's at Jordan Hare Stadium in Auburn, Alabama. The game is on CBS. CBS is doing a day game and a night game for a change. We know Georgia's Bulldogs defense is outstanding. They're only giving up 5.2 points per game. They have not allowed nobody to score in double figures against them in a game. They embarrassed Arkansas. Arkansas's record was tremendous. They thought it was going to be a game. They just really embarrassed them.
They won't dance no damn more in the locker room this year.
So we know how Auburn is. Auburn comes in this ball game. I think they're ranked number 22 in the nation. Georgia ranked number 2 in the nation. We know the history between the two schools. We know that Auburn won one game on a defensive mistake, and a guy listed them for a touchdown to win the game. We know the history between the two schools. They're very tight knit history. How do we see this ball game faring for Georgia today?
This is not the Auburn Tigers of past. I don't see a plus in this game for Auburn at all. Now, before the season started, I thought this would be a great matchup based on history past, but I did not see this coming out of Georgia's defense. 5.2 points a game.
Yes.
They're putting up numbers that rookie mode of Madden that you did when you did your creative player back in the day. You did some things that nobody would believe but you because you created this player and that dominance that you had. But I didn't see this coming with Georgia. I really didn't. I don't think Georgia is going to let up. They're not going to take the foot off the neck, the foot off the gas. They're going all in. Georgia is trying to wake up not just the fans, not just the student body, but the entire college football base on what they have and built. I don't think Auburn can do anything. I think this game is pretty much over with.
If you look at this right here, Georgia's the number one in pass defense this year. Number one in pass defense, not rushing defense, pass defense. But they stuffed Arkansas rushing yards from 75. They only allowed more than 100 yards once this season. Arkansas coming in with over 200 yards from two running backs, and they stuffed them for 75 yards rushing.
That defense special.
Now, Nix came in against LSU, was praised because he pushed to past the 50% mark of passing this season. It's about the best game that Nix has played all season long for Auburn. Because at one time they were platooning him out with another quarterback. So, can Auburn get a passing attack against this Georgia Bulldogs defense? Because they're going to have a passing attack to beat them because their rush defense is so great too because you just can't rush all day long against Georgia.
Where's this game being played at? In Athens?
No, it's playing at Jordan Hare Stadium in Auburn.
So the only way I can see Auburn getting a little light at the end of the tunnel if a player gets ejected in the secondary from Georgia, being for over excessive celebration, going too far, you got to get off the damn field type. But that's the only way. I don't see anywhere where Auburn has an advantage or even a double back look. Like, what? I just, there's no way. On paper, I think Georgia defense is that fast and that good in college football this year. I was not a fan of the hype until I saw that game last week. And I watched that game with the volume down just to see how fast and how big these young men are and able to move like that. We used to see this just with Alabama. But there's a whole team doing that with Georgia, offense and defense. Look at these guys, how fast they move. It's unheard of. Unheard of.
And we look at this too. We know that JT Daniels been hurt. He's trying to get healthy. He's questionable for today's game. Stetson Bennett has been playing good, but they can hide Stetson Bennett behind this defense and the running attack. We know Auburn's running defense is no big. I mean, they can't stop nobody on the run. Basically, it's gonna be a running attack for Georgia. But is Stetson Bennett, if he plays, he have to have a big play today to win this game. He have to have some key big play in this game.
See, that's the thing about Georgia, and that's when you know you have a good football team. It's not one player got to make a big play to motivate the team. It's anybody make a play. It's going to inspire the offense, motivate the defense, or vice versa, how it may be. I think it's going to be more than one person that ends up being in the highlight reel today, the running back, the quarterback, a defensive player, a receiver. It's going to be different combinations they're going to hit them with today and receive.
Now, do you see? Since Bennett, he was 7-11 passes against Arkansas, but he had some of those passes on third down was not stressful plays. Can Auburn get Stetson Bennett in a stressful play to force him to make a mistake?
When Alabama has been on this amazing run, their quarterbacks have never been like the best ever. Those 6-11 games, throwing the ball 8 for 12. To other schools, that's bad. That means that team really you struggle to even compete or be in the game. Those are good numbers for a Georgia quarterback with this type of team this year. I don't want to overemphasize the quarterback needs to go out here and throw the ball 20 to 25 times for Georgia to be real taken seriously in this game. No, that's not Georgia football this year. That's not it. Go with what's been working for Georgia. And that's hitting you whatever the hell we can, whether it's this defense, the special teams. There will be a punt return ran back today for Georgia. That's going to happen. We already know that. That's going to happen. It may be a pick six in this game or a scoop and score. But as far as trying to tinker with the offense, what's been working, I advise you not to do it, Georgia. If you listen, coaches, don't do it. Stick with what's been working.
Now, for Auburn to have a chance to win, does that defense have to have a pick six or multiple pick six in this ball game?
It's going to have to be a quarterback get hurt, put in somebody that has never played football this year, probably hooked up with his girlfriend last night for the first time ever, so he's still nervous about that. It's going to take unconventional things to happen for Auburn to have a shot in this damn game.
So, who you got winning this ball game?
Give me Georgia Bulldogs. Shout out to Athens.
Yeah, I'm going with you too. I think Georgia's playing outstanding right now. I think they're playing one of the best football in college football this season. I think we saw progression from Clemson all the way up. They played good defense in that Clemson game. The offense couldn't get nothing going. Now the offense is getting something going, matching with their defense's ability. Now is a two-headed monster. I think Georgia has too much to do. Who do you have winning the number 30? Can number 13 Arkansas get back on track with number 17 Ole Miss? Which one's going to get back on the winning side?
Arkansas needs this game bad because that was an embarrassment what happened last week. There's no way to explain it. There is no real one person when it comes to the phrase who's to blame. I think they all let each other down. So now they can get over that. And a week ago in college football is like a month ago. So they can let that loss go, that ass whooping go, and refocus on what they were doing. I think this could be a close game, but a win for Arkansas or Arkansas, depending on what part of the country you're in.
Yeah, they predicted Arkansas to win 30-27. The over and under is 66.5, and Ole Miss is favored by 6 in this ball game. So you're going with Arkansas?
Arkansas, yes. Arkansas.
I think Ole Miss is going to get back on the winning way because it's back in Ole Miss Stadium. I think Ole Miss plays better at home too. And I think after Kipton got his, turned his words around with all the popcorns and stuff, I think he's going to get back to really coaching this week. And it's not Nick Saban on the other side, so he will get back to the winning ways. I think number 17, Ole Miss will get back on the winning track against Arkansas. This game is at 12 o'clock on the ESPN. Let's turn our attention to the number 24 SMU versus Navy. This is at
all day.
So you think Navy's running game? You think Navy's going to slow down SMU's passing game?
Navy will slow down everybody when it comes to the running game or when they have the ball on offense. That's all they do, and I agree. Fine with it.
I agree with it. I think Navy's going to pull the upset here today because they're playing at home. I think the Midshipmen's option game is going to take out SMU's progression on their offensive side because they're not going to have time of possession to get their offense rolling in this ball game. Florida Atlantic versus UAB.
Great to be back with the football program, University of Alabama at Birmingham. Welcome back again. Glad they got that together. I'm going to give them a little thumbs up. I played competitive softball down there before. Great people in Birmingham. Birmingham at night, baby. Give me UAB.
You're taking UAB. I'm gonna take UAB also. I think Florida Atlantic is gonna be just overmatched at UAB. I think the pride of their football program is back at home, and they're in the home confines. So I think UAB has got this game wrapped up. Middle Tennessee at Liberty.
Liberty.
I take the Flames too. Liberty Flames. I think they go. I think they're going. Middle Tennessee is just going to be overmatched here today in that ball game. Um, so how about number 14 Notre Dame versus Virginia Tech at Lane Stadium?
That's in Blacksburg, Virginia. And we
Yeah,
saw earlier this year how intense that fan base is. I love it when
Sandman.
the Hokies come into the stadium. I love it. It is a tradition that everyone should see. But I have a good buddy of mine. He's a Man Cave member, Jay. He lives down in Tampa now. He's a big Golden Domer fan. I got to go with Notre Dame in this one.
So you think Notre Dame is going to come back in? You know what Cincinnati did to them at Notre Dame and face like up in Blacksburg, face that Sandman.
They
I
got to
said,
figure this out. But that's a hostile. I'm pulling for Notre Dame to win, but that's a hostile environment up there in
I
Blacksburg.
mean, I'm gonna take Virginia Tech because I think Virginia Tech's better at home. I think the Sandman's gonna be blasting. I like the song Sandman. I like the way they come in too. I think it's gonna take the Golden Domers by surprise. I think they're gonna play better. I think the defense is gonna be playing better. So I think I'm going with Virginia Tech in this ball
It's
game.
just something about Desmond Howard's laugh, man. It just makes me turn my head. He
All
has a
right,
very contagious laugh.
we got 9 minutes to go here. Let's get finished. We only got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 more college football games. I want to take a little bit of time here. We'll come back to LSU and Kentucky for a moment here. Let's go with Georgia State and UNL Monroe.
Give me University of Louisiana Monroe.
I think Georgia State is going to come in. I think the quarterback's a little bit better to play than UNL Monroe, but Monroe's done good. But I think I'm going to go with Monroe too because they're playing at home. We have the Utah Utes at USC. USC is going downhill right now. Are the Utes going to come in and win this ball game?
So much going on at this USC program that a lot of people don't know. They're going to find out about hopefully by Monday or Tuesday. Probably Tuesday we'll find out what's going on a little bit more behind the scenes with USC. But that program is taking a turn for the worse. I never thought I could see such a prestigious program move down this fast. I'm pulling Utah in this one, man. I think it's too much to overcome with USC. This season's a wrap. You got kids already saying we're not coming there next year that have already just turned down offers. Full scholarship ride. I'm gonna go somewhere else. And now with the ability to do that and still play ball the same season, sad case in this USC situation. But Utah all day.
I'm going to take Utah, but I'm going to say that these kids need to hold up and find out who's going to be the next head coach at USC before they decide not to come there. So I'm going to go with Utah also on the fact that USC's in very shamble. They haven't had a good season since Reggie Bush and Keon and Johnson there. So I think it's just a total wrap. I think it's just been helter skelter. I think it's the curse of Pat Curl.
Pete Carroll,
Yeah, Pete Curl. I think it's the curse of him.
he
You
knew
know,
that heat was coming. Time to go.
yeah. New Mexico at number 25, San Diego State.
Me San Diego State.
Yeah, I think Gwynn's going to be there. Tony Gwynn's going to be there with his bat to keep out the Lobos and New Mexico State out. So I'm going to go with them too on that one. How about the Memphis Tigers and Tulsa?
Give me Memphis all day.
I think it's the rise of Elvis in that one. So
But
yeah,
on the win this race.
not going to see nothing but a ham dog in that one. How about UCLA getting back on the winning tracks against Arizona? This game is in Arizona.
Give me Arizona. Only because of the cheerleaders.
I'm gonna say that's wrong. I'll say UCLA is gonna come in there and gonna put a pounding on them.
They're going to put the pounding on the Sun
Yeah,
Devils.
I think Chip Kelly is gonna do what he needs to do. How about New Mexico State versus Nevada?
Give me New Mexico State.
Yeah, I don't like the word Wolfpack, but I'm gonna give it to because Nevada's at home, so I'm gonna have them win that game. And the last game we're gonna pick today, and we're gonna talk about a little bit here, is the LSU and Kentucky game. I know you don't want to talk about Kentucky because you watched the game twice, so you got two losses in one day. You know, but this game is at 7:30. It's at Kroger Field in Lexington, Kentucky. We know how that field has been electric. They threw some grocery cans out there. They got the grocery money. They won the game, so they probably gave out free cards to go out and get free grocery for the Kentuckians.
I tell you what, they won't be doing is running on the field again. They got fined $250,000 last week for running on the field. So run on the field again.
And then SEC has been on the SEC network, and LSU comes in at 3-2. And the Kentucky Wildcats come in at 5-0. Unbelievable here. And they're ranked number 16 in the nation here. They went from non-ranked to all the way to number 16 by beating the Gators. So now what do we see here? LSU was winning against Auburn. They gave Auburn a chance to come back. Auburn took the chance to come back, and they won this game. How does LSU will go into Kroger Field that's going to be rocking? Because, is this going to be a letdown game from Kentucky after beating Florida?
It's going to be a letdown game for Kentucky, but these kids at LSU are going to win this game for different reasons that we'll probably find out Tuesday or Wednesday that LSU is going to let go of Ed Orgeron due to things that happened there. And they thought that maybe they were going to getting Urban Meyer, but that's not going to happen either. But I think these kids at LSU are going to win this game for their coach because they know that he's not going to be there next year. He's going to be gone.
Offensively, quarterback Max Johnson is still trying to find his consistency, but he got the arm. He can throw every throw. He's got 325 yards last week in a loss to Auburn. Accuracy is a must in this game to help keep pushing Kentucky because we know Kentucky secondary is great. You got to throw in these small windows like NFL-type windows, and Florida just couldn't do that with Emory Jones at certain points of the game. So what does Max Johnson have to do better to get his consistency going?
Well, LSU is going to try to come out and throw the ball for one. They're going to try to attack that secondary because Ed Orgeron loves to be challenged. He loves to be challenged by somebody telling him his team can't do this against a set defensive or look or player. He's going to attack that. But on the other side, I noticed in the Florida game, Kentucky has a way of making you make penalties. I don't even know if that makes sense to you. But they have a way. I don't know if it's the loud bark. I don't know if it's the way they come out of the break, what they're doing, what the chatter is like. But Kentucky has a way of making you get a flag.
Well, I can tell you what Kentucky does to make you get a flag. And that is they get up there, they get set, they do these some kind of things on the offensive line. I don't know if you've seen it. One of the offensive linemen.
When I watched the Florida game, they're doing something.
They would.
There's no way that many flags would be called.
If you look at what Kentucky does, the offensive linemen, some of them like to wiggle their fingers. And first movement, the coaches always tell you defensive linemen to get an advantage, you have to watch the first movement of a player. If you watch the first movement of a player, that's what it got Florida in the advantage right there. But if LSU does the same thing that Florida does, and these guys wiggle their fingers or do some kind of, miscommunication up front and not watching that football, it's going to be a long day for LSU because Kentucky is going to move it because of penalties. I mean, Florida had 7 penalties over 119 yards? Unheard of. You can't win football games getting that many penalties over 119 yards.
You can't give up the field and win the game.
So we know that LSU's got high defense, got to turn Kentucky over, get short field position because you're not going to be able to go full length. We've seen that in that Florida game. You can't go full length against a Stoops team, defensive team, because he's a good defensive coordinator. Might not be a good head coach, but he's a good defensive coordinator, and he's got these defense that he can scheme against certain players, and he did very well against Emory Jones and doing his efficiencies and stuff and like that. But we know the inconsistency of Max. So now what we're going to probably see is Kentucky putting 8 men in the box and making the quarterback since he's got inconsistency to try to beat him. Is that a good strategy to do for Kentucky?
Kentucky can't play the same way they played against Florida. This is a different team. I know they're SEC and they're SEC. But as I said, LSU is going to try to come out and win this game for the coach. And if Kentucky tries to play the identical game plan they did last week, it's going to be a quick game for them.
Okay, so now we're getting to the closing point of the show here. We have less than, well, we're going over right quick here. Kentucky 23, LSU 20. That's what they're predicting. 3.5 favorite by Kentucky. And the over and under is 50. Who do you have winning this ball game?
LSU 24-17.
Taking LSU. I'm going to take Kentucky because this is not going to be a letdown game. I think they're going to be proud of their team. I think they're going to hand out more grocery cards for them. It's just going to be a blessed day for them in Kentucky. I think they got in this program turn a little bit of turnaround this year. But then again, Kentucky could look ahead in the next few games too, and LSU could bounce on them. So I'm getting Kentucky for this game here. It's probably the only time I pick Kentucky all season long. So this has been the ASAP College Football Breakdown. This has been Dre Montez and Ray Cruz. See you next Saturday at 9 a.m. We're taking you all the way to kickoff. Enjoy your Saturday and enjoy all the football games. Peace.
All sports, all plays. Yeah. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. 365, we making a plays. You talking the game, get you through the days. We're out in the court.